Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Now, this is actually a continuation of another live stream as the computer just crashed, so I'm going to introduce my panel and hopefully we'll get back into housekeeping. So we are joined by Sleeping Warrior, the Adam Meakin, what's we got? Arwin, Eli, 10th, Refracted Curvature, Neil, and a whole bunch of people in Discord.
Never the intro.
Welcome one
Only when he
and
starts
all.
talking.
But he's talking.
Hello.
We can't hear him.
Oh, I had them on mute. Can you hear me, guys? We're back.
Yeah,
in.
we got you now.
Good. Can you all hear me in Discord?
Yeah,
Yes, we can.
Oh, good. Very glad to hear it, as I didn't do any sound checks. I just went live immediately because it has all been
Welcome
checked.
back.
Yeah, it's...
What happened? What happened?
The
Blue
PC just
screen?
crashed. I think my graphics card's giving up the ghost, so it started to tear and do all sorts of crazy things, and it's progressively getting worse. And now the computer's crashing. So I think I've got a faulty graphics card. It is very old. It's about 7 years old, so it might just need replacing. Either way, we'll see if we can carry on with this stream. We'll see how we get on.
Could I use that as the best globe Earth proof to date?
What, the computer crashed?
Yeah.
Science. It crashed because of science. Science is against you, Nathan.
Len
No.
Lewis says in chat that it's a cunning plan to get twice the ad revenue.
No, not at all. No, definitely not. If it is my graphics card, I'll probably end up doing another GoFundMe because I can't afford PC bits. So I don't think it's double the ad revenue I'll need if it is actually a faulty graphics card. But hopefully not. Hopefully I can just stroll on. I've turned the fan up on the graphics card. Hopefully that'll solve the problem. We'll see. Anyway, where were we? Should we just run through quickly all of housekeeping just so this show is self-contained? Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere-edge horizon formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
It's over there in the math.
No, it only exists in the math. The Black Swan showed that. I mean, if the Earth was a sphere with curvature, it would match the math they give it, 8 inches per mile square, or 1 foot observer height. It would be 1.2 miles out. But it doesn't. It's non-existent. The math is there, but the actual evidence is non-existent.
Yeah, but if you don't know about resolution limits, then you can definitely think that the horizon is actually blocking things when they disappear into it.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, though, to assert those mathematics would have to be contradicting the celestial sphere model of observation to assert those mathematics. So it doesn't work.
Right, so there's only a sphere edge or a geometric horizon in consideration that you might be able to make by your own decision.
Finally found it. I was looking for my chat. Shout out to Godzilla37. Do you not see the obvious question mark? Your computer crashed just as a guy named Virus, in quotes, is in your chat. Coincidence? I think not. Thank you very much for the super chat, Godzilla37. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
It's over there.
No evidence. Light in the sky.
Right. Don't know a distance, don't know a size, can't pinpoint any of that. Can't even derive some kind of position based on angular size increase with our own displacement within the realm. So, yeah. What we can see it, though, it's over there.
Any evidence you can acquire an elevation angle from a curved adjacent?
Impossible.
That requires a flat plane.
It could only work if you discontort. Oh God, this is I can't even ball win it. It's so tough. Like you'd have to like basically weave geodesics basically put the bend in the straight and get really complicated. So, and then it still wouldn't work, but you might think it might be working, right?
Arwen, are you saying if you make it so complicated no one could understand it, then possibly it might work in an argument from ignorance?
It might seem to work. I'm not saying that that would actually make it work.
Any evidence you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
None whatsoever.
No.
You need containment to have a vacuum, and you need containment to have any kind of gas pressure.
Damn it, you beat me. I just wanted to say that.
The clue's in the question, isn't it? Antecedent.
Right. Require containment for gas pressure or the lack thereof. You basically require containment no matter what.
Yeah, you can't have a vacuum without a container either, is I think what you're trying to say.
Yep.
Well, even when they say, how do you explain a gas pressure gradient, we have an answer, but you get the pressure in the first place. But also, you can even have a gas pressure gradient without a container.
Any evidence?
Right, the only way we can demonstrate a gradient through our own devices is by using a container, filling it up with gas, and then introducing temperature influences in both directions from either side, and then you might create a gradient within that container. So yeah, gas pressure, the lack thereof, and a gradient all require a container.
Any evidence of the R value, Earth radius?
You can't measure the radius value. You can only derive it based on the pre-assumption.
You can derive it, John, can't you, from your measurements taken from a flat plane, just like we did in your kitchen.
Yep.
Yeah. But the actual celestial lights do not match up with that, though, right?
What, with John's kitchen?
You can make your own light, you can make your own celestial system and do it with that, but it wouldn't work with the celestial system that we can't really very manipulate out there.
Yeah, because his kitchen's got a roof. You can't see the actual stars.
Right. So he can only work with his own man-made celestial navigation system. The lamps that he uses. And that's it.
But using that principle, the same principle that's applied to do a calculation for Earth curvature, we could show curvature of John's kitchen using the same methodology, which is to assume angles, the things in the distance, relate to physical curvature of the surface. Given that you have already made the firm assertion, so you can take your measurement that the surface is flat.
Well, technically, you can't show it, as you said. You can only calculate how much it would be.
Well, yeah, you can't show it.
Right? It's always like, what if it were this? That's what they calculate. And then they don't see that it isn't actually that.
You said it right at the start. You can calculate it if you pre-assume other things. Those things are that angular change of stars relates to curvature of the Earth, not distance from the observer.
Or angular changes of my ceiling equal angular changes of the ground.
Well, that's the consideration part, right? It does rest on considerations that you voluntarily have to engage in, and then you can, within those considerations, attempt to demonstrate the globe.
I think this is time for John to bring Eratosthenes in the shadow and the stick on the ground.
But he used the same principle I used in my kitchen. and use the flat baseline to measure an angle to the sun. I measured it to light in my kitchen, and then I used that to get an angle to that object in the sky or on my roof. It required a flat baseline, though, both examples.
Any more
You
for
mean you
any?
can't get? You mean you can't get an angle from a curved baseline?
It wouldn't be an angle then for that
Right.
curved baseline.
And yeah, other than this system, most people just use the radius value that's been told to them is the radius value, right? Like Mick West. They just use the standard input. That's all.
Yeah, but you can't anymore because the standard input violates the celestial sphere model.
They don't know how to deal with that.
That's not our problem, though, is it?
No, it isn't. Unless you want to take their task upon yourself.
Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Can't have scientific evidence of something that you cannot properly define. If you cannot connect a concept to physical reality in a logically consistent, demonstrable fashion, then you cannot attain scientific evidence for it.
About any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
No, those disciplines fall outside of the scientific method in actual practice because they can't manipulate the independent variable. They could only observe something and make guesses and calculate. I still haven't heard from Dr. Becky.
No one
she's
in those-
sciencing it all right. I mean, I'm pretty sure she checks her email every day. So
Science.
No one in those fields uses the scientific method. It's leaps of logic, guys. It's guesswork.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
I'd say
No.
it's the least addressed part of the globe cosmology. Nobody ever talks about it. It's always like, oh, there's a picture of this is how it's supposed to be. There's no attempt to actually find evidence for it, even though we could, right? Like, it's not like the ground is not our domain, right? Like NASA has the domain of the skies and like it's their business, sort of officially. The same doesn't count for the ground. But nobody's doing anything with it.
Isn't it past the curing point? What's that argument? Can someone specify that argument?
Can't be magnetic. It can't be generating a magnetic field because it's beyond the Curie point of iron to be magnetic. So the argument we have come back at us is that, well, no, it can if it's perpetuating a molten iron field by a kind of dynamo effect because it's spinning around, then that changes it. So we then altered the question to any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth, which is
Did
beyond
you
the
ever
Curie
come back
point.
to that?
But I
one,
don't
Nathan?
get it. How does it do that? It's still liquid. How is moving liquid metal going to create magnetism? It doesn't do that either.
Go on,
I
Anthony.
mean, magnetism might
Doesn't do
go
it.
through
I
it.
don't know if the question
right?
will ever end. We'll get Anthony's answer.
I was just going to say they do have a comeback to that. The continuously moving. They say, well, the further away you get from the core, the more it cools. So that as it gets below the Curie points, then magnetism then comes into play from the resulting drop in temperature. And then I say, well, it has to be induced from somewhere. Where does it get induced from? And then they say, well, it's self-perpetuating, and then they haven't got an answer to that.
I have heard some people argue, oh, but maybe there's a sodium core then, right?
It was
And it
lithium that was
doesn't.
shown in the labs, but Tony, that sounds to me like, in answer to any evidence of a molten iron core, they've said, yeah, but it's not molten.
I think they say that it becomes solid and then it drops. It gains magnetism from that point, so it just becomes.
So it's not molten then?
Not a molten point, no, because it can't hold one.
So they think
it gains one.
So they think now it's a solid core suspended within a molten layer so that it can turn around and heat it up. Is that what they think?
I think Brian's joined us from the Highlands of Ireland.
That's not me. I didn't make that wind sound.
It's Tony painting his phone.
Oh, is it Tony? I take it all back, Brian.
Of course it's Tony.
Thanks.
It was me. I can't remember what the rebuttal then was. Oh no, yeah, it's not a molten. It's a molten iron core inside a solid shell that's only permeated by magnetism without inducement as it cools.
Oh, is this a heliocentric description or an advert for a really delicious chocolate?
But
think of a profiterole.
Even by dynamo rules, it would have to be a solid thing moving in relation to another solid thing, two different reference frames. That's what could sort of generate that. If the core is molten and the outer shell isn't, that's still not going to generate the magnetism.
Okay, I'm just going to say this one more
such a
time
moron,
because
Alwyn. It conserves its momentum.
the question isn't about how you could do this with various different metallic liquids or solids. The question is any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth. I suppose, can you do this? Who cares?
Of course not.
Nathan, you're obfuscating because whilst we're arguing about the valid merits of each argument that we're trying to argue is which one is more plausible, you bringing it back to basics is it's confusing people, Nathan. We need to argue which one is it. Is it Arwin's version or is it our version?
Is there any evidence of either version?
Oh, no.
Forget that. We want to argue within the argument, Nathan. Stop
Is there
bringing
any
it back to
evidence
evidence.
that it might be possible somehow?
There's evidence that shows the models they've built are incorrect.
Such as?
Well,
Hold on, John. Such as?
The super deep Kola borehole.
Oh, right. What did that do?
Well, they made a load of predictions of what would be the strata levels as they went through it. And as far as I'm aware, they were all wrong. That was then predicted in over, 8 miles? So if they can't get that bit right, the next 3,000 odd miles, the chances of correctness is probably the probability will decrease, I would assume. So I would say, yeah, it's the complete opposite in this case. There's evidence that whatever they've guessed at, they haven't got a clue. Because when they've been able to validate anything, they've been wholly incorrect.
I'm pretty sure that concludes the housekeeping.
I would just like...
Go on.
I was going to say the evidence for its existence is the argument over its existence, isn't it?
No, that's the evidence that there's an argument in existence, not that there is an existence because there's an argument.
No, John's right. The evidence of existence is the fact that we're arguing which one's right. Is it Arwin's one? John is completely right, Nathan. You're wrong. You're distracting.
Okay.
No, I'm
So,
not
one second, Adam. Can you just ask me again about the debate we were having last night about the gas lamp in Narnia, just so we can debate about it now for a few moments, please?
Exactly. Let's argue over the gas lamp in Narnia. That makes the point perfectly, yes.
Yeah. Well, I believe it's powered by unicorn farts, isn't it?
No, I believe in the world.
No, it's not. It's the methane.
That's incorrect. In the world of Narnia, no gas is required at all. Just to throw that in there.
No, it is. It's the methane from the unicorn farts. Adam's right.
No, but by fiat, are we now all in agreement that either unicorn farts or no gas requirement for the gas lamp in Narnia is true, and therefore the Narnia lamp is also true and real? We all clear?
It would definitely
Correct.
require
Well done.
gas, Nathan. It would definitely require gas. Don't be silly.
It makes me
Gas
laugh.
lamps
I wonder how many of the audience...
Hello. Just Anthony's reply was so appropriate, because often that happens in debate. You get to the point where you've essentially summarised something as being so ludicrous, far-fetched, and non-sensible to your opponent, and their reaction is the same as Anthony's. Yes, that's correct. Like somehow they've got to win when they actually are conceding to how stupid their argument is. Thank you, Anthony.
Yeah.
Anthony,
I'm hoping that the people in the audience can realise that by arguing over something and how it may or may not exist or how it might operate or whatever it is that you're talking, it doesn't matter. Just because you're arguing for something doesn't mean it exists, because you're arguing within the argument, aren't you?
Go on, Brian.
Right. That's why we argue, like, what if it exists? How would it exist? Right? That's what we're discussing.
No, we don't. The anti-flat earthers do. We debunk how it's claimed to exist and how it doesn't in reality exist. The anti-flat earthers come along and tell us how it could exist, often in opposition to the claim of how it actually is claimed to exist in a globe model. Quick shout out, and then we'll go to Brian, who was trying to get a word in. Hello from Kansas City. What are your guys' thoughts on the Next Level Flat Earth documentary with Dearth?
I haven't seen it yet.
I've got to be honest, I haven't seen that. Or maybe I haven't, I just don't know what
I'm
it
not
means.
even aware it exists.
I'm sure
Isn't it on about the original one?
Next Level doesn't sound like what any original one. I'm pretty sure that's a new thing. Maybe you can clarify for us so far. I only chatted to Dave yesterday. I should really know. Oh God, that's terrible. I'm sorry, Dave, if you're watching.
You spoke to the boss yesterday? Any word on my pay?
No, Neil.
He
Thank
wanted
you for
his
the super
bonus
chat so
payments.
far.
He didn't get bonuses.
Hold on just a second, Anthony. Brian, were you trying to get a word in there?
yeah, what was the claim? Sorry, Nathan. Anthony, you said something about the ballers are claiming something about how something goes down and creates magnetism.
Yeah, they say that as the Curie temperature is met by cooling of the mantle and by getting further away from the core, once it gets to below the Curie temperature, it regains the magnetism that it lost whilst it was above.
What's the Curie temperature again? Do you remember? I just Googled it.
Can't remember I think it's about 729 degrees Celsius for iron, but don't quote me on it. But it's about 700 degrees, I think.
Yeah, because in their claim, the inner core is more solid and the outer core is more liquid.
Yes.
And it has zero viscosity. So how did it become liquid? Let me see, what's the temperature to give it? The inner core is 9,800 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
5,430 degrees Celsius. 5,700 Kelvin. What did you say the Curie point is? 500 and something, isn't it?
I think it's 729 Celsius, I think, roughly. I'll check it.
How do they get these, though?
Made them up.
Well, they get them out of desperation. As Nathan says, what they end up doing, is contradicting their own point in the first place to try and retain the point. And in doing so, also contradicting these stated facts, those known facts about what the temperature is. We're doing the same. Oh, look, they could be wrong because look, the temperature of the molten iron core is actually this much. Is it?
So it's part of the Thea story.
Yeah, well, you get 4,000 gigawatts of energy from a unicorn fart.
Yeah, it's total rubbish. It's just that claim, that's a claim from what I can remember and what I've seen. It's just they just made that up. Some baller just made that up because there's nothing there about it in official claims. It's just a made up thing from some baller. Because if the Curie point is at the hundreds, the outer molten iron core is in the thousands. So where are they getting this from? It's
MSU University.
Yeah, exactly. Making shit up university. Exactly. Making up stuff. That's all they do. That's all they're good for. Making up stuff, not conceding, trying to be cyber bullies to people that they know they can bully, and being in general, I don't know. What would you call them?
Anthony, can you mute? Disingenuous?
Yeah. Yes.
We call them bullshit artists in Brooklyn.
Got it what, in Brooklyn?
To be fair though, when the temperature drops of iron, the magnetism does return experimentally. You can demonstrate that. So what they do is they say, well, that applies to Earth then. So it is demonstrable that the magnetism returns to iron as it drops below the Curie point in real world. But that makes it, therefore, it's the case with the Earth as well.
Yeah, but their outer or inner cores are nowhere near that in temperature. They're way higher, like thousands of degrees higher, Celsius and Fahrenheit. You know what I mean? It's just some board and making up stuff because they have zero proof of anything.
Bullshit artists.
Yeah, MSU University, graduates. That's all I wanted to say. That's all.
What do they call it in Brooklyn, did you say?
A bullshit artist.
Oh, yes, as simple as that.
Yeah, I know it's a trend where, I won't labour the point too much, but I know it's a trend where I look online over the years I'm asking a question about the heliocentric model, something connected to it, or something claimed to be connected to it, right? Whether it be a satellite thing or something. And I always end up in forums, because that's where you go to, because it's hard to get straight answers. You always end up in forums, right? And in forums, you have all these, someone asking a question. Now, I don't write any question. I never write any questions or anything. But I look at other people's questions. And you have someone who doesn't know one, who's just naive, just asking a question, or just not informed. And you have about 8 different replies. Some of them are similar, but they all have artistic license added to them, right? And these 8 different replies, they're all mostly contradicting each other, and they're all arguing with each other, all these other people that replied to this person. And then somebody comes in who does have the actual information, and they write like 2 sentences, not like 4 paragraphs. And then these other people that came in replying to this person's question, they all go, oh, yeah, well, yeah, I can see what you mean, yeah, and they're trying to act as if they already had that information, and, oh, well, I was just kind of telling them about the blah-de-blah, or adding it. What you're dealing with is people who don't know any different, who are just normal, everyday people, are asking questions on these forums, and they're getting a load of ballers answering them. And the ballers are all got different answers, just like we experience. And then they end up arguing with each other within the forum. Then someone who does know the answer, even if the answer is a load of nonsense, but someone who actually does have the answer, like someone who actually would be a subject matter expert, even if the subject is nonsense, it's just heliocentrism, come in, they leave 2 lines, answer the person's question, even though the thing might be wrong, but they've answered it. And you have a lot of people trying to then talk to this person as if they
play along, right?
Yeah, they're just making it up. They're just making up answers. That's who we're dealing with. People who go into forums and make up answers. Sorry?
I've heard the rumpus go in other chats, other hangouts, when he gets a link and he joins. And if he can get away with saying that gravity is a force and we can calculate it with, M1 times M2 divided by R squared, if he can get away with that chanting, he will tell people in that hangout that that's what gravity is, even though he knows that it's not, and he knows that it's been superseded. He will tell people lies because he knows if he can get away with it. That's how dishonest they are.
Why is that, Anthony? Because Rumpus is a liar.
Well, that was the thing that basically made me ban him. Because basically, when I went back through previous debates and saw him scroll through his endless list of information, part of what he had on screen, unfortunately for him, was Andrew Thomas Young's claim that you don't have a geometric horizon to be measuring, to be claiming that it's blocking the bottom of the Isle of Man. Now, given that he already knew that information, what Anthony's just said is, further down the food chain, he'll claim gravity's a force if he can get away with it because people don't know any better. Well, back in the day when we didn't know any better, he claimed the horizon was a physical geometric tangent point. And then when I pointed out that now he's claiming with his Andrew Thomas Young document that we don't have a geometric horizon, it only exists in the maths, end quote the rumpus, why the hell was he claiming it blocked the Isle of Man? Well, lying bastard is the answer.
Yeah, these people like that we deal with are the people I see in them forums. These, like, so the person who comes in and answers the question, it's probably someone more like, I don't know, a Brian Cox type character, without the fame, just someone who has a PhD and whatever. But most of the people in these forums just making stuff up. They just giving someone an answer and add an artistic license to it, and like, it's ridiculous because I learned so much about the heliocentric model. I don't write answers into these things. I don't write questions. But I know the answer or I know, even if I don't know the answer, the heliocentric answer, I know where this person is going wrong. It's ridiculous. I could go in there and correct half of them, or more than half of them, under nonsense. But they're literally willing to do like Rumpus does, and he could be one of them. Just go in and answer people's questions without having any evidence for anything, or any backup or anything. Now, I know it's heliocentrism, so they don't have a backup or evidence, but the point they're making is they're just making stuff up in these forums. Then they end up arguing with each other.
I just want to tell everybody, slightly off topic, that Jurgen Klopp's just signed a 2-year contract extension, so he'll be carrying on his services at Liverpool until 2026.
God, shut up.
He won't. No, it's important.
No, it's not.
Peace be upon him. It is.
It's not anything that's relevant.
It is.
Thank you for killing the conversation, Anthony.
You're welcome. But yes, Rumpus is a complete liar. If he can get away with passing off like the simplified, easy to understand woo-woo nonsense that has been superseded by Einstein and they just don't like it, he will get away. He will do that. He will preach to people until he gets corrected. And then if he does get challenged and corrected, he will not say, "Oh well, yeah, I was wrong there. I said that." He will say, "Well, yes, but they don't work for the absolute." What does he say? He says it only really applies for like extremely fast distances or high mega masses and black holes. But anything local to our, it's still perfectly acceptable. So he'll weasel out that he was lying into it still works, so therefore it's not lying. And when I say it works, that doesn't mean it works as in a verb of doing something. It just means that it calculates out, it computes out as by the function of performing the sum, which is not actually a doing. It's not actually a works in the context in which he's speaking. He's just trying to make it sound valid.
I like it when I don't have to say anything. I don't have to put that correction in. Anthony's probably got me ringing in his ears because I hear little trigger words like works. Oh yeah, being put to work, doing something, eh? But Anthony already corrected it, so.
It's a trigger word because when they substitute mathematics for, they substitute experiment for mathematics because they say the mathematics works. And they let you think that because the mathematics works, it therefore represents reality, even though it's like perfect correlative. It's not actually representing reality at all. It's correlating mathematics with reality. And it cannot possibly be working because it's not a verb. But yeah, I get triggered by the same word.
Loads of them. Go on, whoever that was. Brian.
If it was...
No, 10th, sorry. Go on.
Yeah, if it was reality, the horizon, which is Earth curve in their model, would be in front of the oil platforms.
Yeah, we'd have Earth curve if Earth curve was real. Exactly.
If it was reality, you'd look out to the horizon and there would be a formula in your line of sight that said, 1.22 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. And that's what you would see as you were looking out to the horizon, because that would be the verb of doing, the maths would be working, but obviously we don't see that.
Well, no, if it was reality, we would have orthographic view, orthographic vision, and not...
But then you'd never be able to drive because you'd have no depth perception.
Well, no, you'd only be looking at yourself driving and someone else driving ahead of you or behind you. But you won't be able to see how far to the left or right of it, yeah.
Yeah, have you ever done that in third-person view when you're trying to like drive a car game and you put yourself in like camera view so that you're no longer driving the car, you're watching yourself from the stands? It is impossible to drive your car. If real world was orthographic the way they describe it in pictures, you wouldn't be able to do anything. Not under work.
Okay, so clarification from us so far. Thank you for the super chat first and foremost. Also, shout out to the 100 people watching. Woohoo! Please share the show. This is a continuation of a live show, so there's a good chance if you've shared it before, it hasn't reached anyone because that show got cancelled, so to speak, on account of the fact that my PC shut down. So please smash the share button, and a very warm welcome to all of you who've currently joined the stream. Us So Far says, Hibbler Productions releases FE documentaries on Earth Day. First was called Level with Eric Dubay. The new one is called The Next Level. They're really well made. Thank you very much for the super chat us so far, and thank you for clarifying what you meant. I'll have to check it out.
Well, now that he's clarified what he meant,
now, Nathan.
Now he's clarified what he meant. We need to answer the question that he asked, because, like, I think the answer is none of us have a clue what you're talking about in terms of the production that you're referring to.
But now we do. So thank you very much.
I would say that. Sorry, Adam, go on.
To level 2021, the flat Earth is heavily censored and shadow banned. Yet most people turn their cheek to this life-changing truth. Why would they lie? The number one question regarding the deception involved with the heliocentric globe theory. A theory we are all taught in kindergarten. A theory we are told was thousands of years old. Oops. The next level will break down many reasons for the lie, as well as showing the many scientists of the past that have proven the stationary Earth. Also how J.D. Rockefeller and George Lemaitre in 1920 changed the course of his story as we know it. It's 2022 and the truth cannot be stopped. IMDb.
So what was the question that was asked, Nathan? Go back.
Had we seen it?
Go back to the question.
Had we seen it?
Oh, right. So the answer in that case is no. Now that we're aware about it, we'll watch it.
Indeed. Yeah, thanks again.
What I
Where do
say?
you get a copy of it from?
What do you mean a copy?
When you say to see it, where do you see it? Is it on Netflix? Is it on YouTube?
God, Anthony!
Gotta get it at Blockbuster Videos.
I suggest we have three
Hibbler
answers at once.
Films,
Adam's literally displaying it on screen as we speak.
Yeah, but that's not on IMDb. That's not where you can reference watching it.
Paula just posted the link in Mastery.
Thank you, Tenth.
The first of all, let me say the first one is also on YouTube. You can find it from Hibbler Productions or Hibbler Films. So watch the first one as well. It's pretty good.
Are you saying Hitler?
Read the screen. I mean, I'm sure it says the name of the people that are doing the film.
I don't need to watch the movies to know that they're going to be inaccurate on things that I would be very, very dogged about being accurate about.
Why would you say that?
Hold on, what the hell? We've never clapped eyes on this thing. Do you want to repeat that statement, Brian, just so we can all have a moan?
Yeah, I don't need to watch any of the movies to know they're going to be inaccurate about stuff that we would be very dogged about them being accurate about.
Okay.
Well, I tend to agree with Brian.
No.
I don't think it's...
Go on, Adam.
Well, my fear will be there'll be claims made. If I look at the people that are there, I think some of them are going to make unsubstantiable claims. And I think that's the fear with all of these sorts of documentaries. That people are out there to make money. There's no point painting a very sensible thing. They're going to want some kind of headline. So that would be my own, a bit like the first ones, that they go hunting for something that doesn't necessarily represent all of us, but is one individual's opinion. Which is not
obviously the topic of gravity is going to come up, and depending on who writes that film, will have their own predisposition with that position on gravity, right? So you can imagine what the gravity section would be if it was, say, for example, Bob Nodell that was describing gravity. It would be very different to how it would be if we were to talk about it. And obviously, if the Rumpus was to talk about it, but straight away, you're creating a massive contention about, like, what is gravity? And, like, just by arguing about it, as me and Alwyn's demonstrated, then it becomes a real thing because you're arguing over it. And they miss the fact that it doesn't even exist.
I get that, but consider the tone for a second. Again, let me point out that I was on this show when the previous documentary came out, and I told you guys about
Eli, just while you're talking, cup your mic, put your hand around your mic just to stop the wind.
Yeah. So I told you guys to watch it. So it's like, I haven't seen it, but I'm willing to bet. It's like, for us being, well, we have some of the arguments that permeate this place the most. sometimes, or a lot of the time. So, when people hear this, it's like, well, geez, dude, like, aren't you guys supportive of others who are trying to do the same thing? I'm just saying they've come out with something before this, and it's like we haven't seen any of it, but we're gonna be like, I don't know, who is it?
If Santos Bonacci, Martin Leitker, and David Weiss, I can't speak for the others, which is Tanner Stewart, Sean Hibbler, Victoria, Rachel, and ODD. I'm pretty sure between the first three, you're going to get opposing toroidal fields as your model presented. You're going to get domes. You're going to get all sorts of statements, because that's what those guys do. They put conjecture in that field. So I would suggest that's what's going to be in there, toroidal magnetic fields.
Who is it that said making claims? Was it you, Adam?
Probably.
That was what I was going to say, was you were sort of going wanting to say something similar. But yeah, a couple of times on the most recent debates, we've had participants from the Discord server that have invited us to speculate about things. And we've had to disclaim, on a private phone call, I might discuss the dome, for example, with Adam. I'm quite happy to do this because I'll defend it if someone comes and tries to pick me up on it. But yeah, we'll discuss those certain phrases in those certain contexts, i.e. the dome as a very specific thing, right? Either for or against, I might add. But in public debate, there's no need to make a claim of a dome. It's just not necessary. Further to that, if you do, you'll end up having to defend something that isn't A, necessary, and B, making your point or debunking theirs. Don't prove anything. You can prove, just so we've got completeness, you can prove that there isn't a sky vacuum. That would be the actual claim in the first instance from the heliocentric side. The sky is claimed to be a bloody vacuum. We can debunk that with entropy. So the sky is not a vacuum. Further to that, we are breathing gas pressure, therefore it must be pressing on something. There must be a container of some description. What it is, I don't know, and I don't need to defend that. And if somebody asks me, well, how do you know there's a container then? Well, gas pressure, that's how. We have it. It's an antecedent-consequent relationship, unless you can demonstrate gas pressure without a container in violation of natural law. You won't, you can't, space is fake. That's the argument. But when we, as a collective panel, hear other flat earthers making those claims in a non-hostile environment, often we'll praise them. Fair enough, they're entitled to their opinion. It's only when it comes to a debate arena that I have any issue with that, and I think it's reasonably public that I've, been chatting to Dave Weiss in that regard. I've made it very clear on a lot of shows, because he's stepping up his game and moving into a different arena. So where you may have previously heard Quantum Eraser and myself in nothing but praise of Dave Weiss, well, that's going to change. Sorry, Dave, again, if you're listening. But that's just the way of things if you want to step up your game. Now, for the most part, everybody, including flat earthers, is entitled to their batshit crazy opinion about what the world is, and I don't care. Unless you're actually in a debate arena, and then it looks bad, because people are assessing it on win, lose, or draw, as opposed to your conjecture and opinion.
I have a bit of a different view. That's why I said what I said concerning specificity. Sorry, I can't say it today. I have a blocked nose. No, because what I said, I was kind of blanket adding in the claims bit as well. It's like, to make a claim that you can't support is not being specific, is it? You can't be making claims that you can't support and claiming things that you don't know are true. That's just conjecture. That's bad for business, for us. And that's what a lot of these documentaries, like, I can't watch them. They just annoy me straight away. It's like, you can't make that claim. You can't say, it's like, as well as that, just like what Anthony said, when the topic of gravity comes up, they're going to try and create a new gravity, some of them, with their dielectric stuff. It's like, you can't make that claim. None of that has been actually supported and proven.
Can I
Yes.
say something?
I can
No, me
show
first.
I can show physical demonstration and explain it, and even go through the scientific method and prove it. That completely flies in the face of everything you're saying. And where are you talking about that?
Okay, go on.
That's
Arwin.
my point. That's my
Hold on,
problem.
Brian. Go ahead, Arwin.
Yeah, the problem is that they have these ideas, but they don't properly lay down the nature of their ideas, and then they effectively reify them as if they were proven facts. Right? That's the problem, because they have ideas, they're interesting ideas, they have still issues, right? I'm not objecting to think about that. What I do, however, object to is thinking about it and then just assuming they're true and building everything upon it like it's been proven in detail. That's where the real reification process and the delusion starts.
But they're only...
Right?
Okay, I agree with both of you, but I'll reiterate why my point is, in my opinion, correct. Which is to say that when Brian said it's bad for business... Well, that wasn't a slip of the tongue, although he hesitated immediately afterwards. If you want to consider the business of informing people in a good way how the nature of their world around them has been misrepresented, then there are very specific things, like making claims you can't back up, that will be bad for that process. So I called it Flat Earth What Next, a video that detailed this from a point of view of, well, how do we raise funds for some unknown thing to do? Well, 10th phrased it, the product is Flat Earth. You are attempting to sell it. It just doesn't have any cost in terms of the amount of money that will be exchanged when you present the information. But all you want is the reciprocant to accept the information. And if you're asking them to swallow unvalidated claims, unsubstantiated nonsense, in my view, then you're going to have a difficult time convincing them of the basics of the reality of the world you live in. Now, that is compounded massively if it's in a us versus them scenario, i.e. debate. Again, I've already made that point, so I'm not going to relabour that point, but go ahead, whoever else.
Well, I just wanted to just clear up that I didn't, when I said bad for business, I was talking about the business of relaying facts and truth to people, honesty to people.
I got that.
I'm not going to...
No, I understood that.
Like, I'm not going to be... all right, but I don't want anyone telling an audience that we have an ice wall holding all the oceans in when they have not verified this. You know what I mean? I don't want that. But other people are willing to just blurt that out publicly.
Well, like Anthony.
Go on,
Shout out to you, Detoxero, who says there's nothing to debate. Water doesn't like it. Did I say that right? There is nothing to debate. Water doesn't like it. Okay?
In the words of
Quantum
Eraser, it's a dome.
Yes, I do have a criticism off the bat. What Adam read, when they said something about the heliocentric model in thousands of years, it's only 500 years old, and much of it, like galaxies and whatnot, has been expanded upon and added to it in the last 100 years. So, I mean, I'm just trying to take away the credibility they're trying to steal from other time periods. The heliocentrism isn't that dope. It's not that long standing. So,
can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Good morning.
Can now.
We hear you. And you're rustling.
A little bit of feedback. I've just watched the trailer. Doesn't seem anything other than talking about level. Jay Tollan. There's a little bit of a Kobayashi map I saw flash up. Most people saying, yeah, nice. The top comment, I think probably would follow us. Matthew Poole, 3 days ago. It was good for the newbie, just like all before. The problem to me was we keep telling people the same story over and over. I mean, for the love of God, another boat over the curb debunking. We found so much more proof, and we keep showing them the same thing over and over. Why? It was boring as hell, to be honest. I would ask for a refund, so consider it a donation. No wonder Globey's diss on this. Boring guys, very boring. We're not going to wake others up with this sleeper. Sorry, but we are wasting precious time. And then the next person said, I don't agree, a really good summary on the most important things in the topic. So maybe just a outliner as opposed to any assumed claims that people like I said, in the clips, it just seemed to be level-based.
Did I miss something? Did they stop teaching kids that boats are going over the curve? Did they stop that?
That seemed to be the point, that for people that are into this, it's probably a little bit entry level, and that's what people are saying. Thanks, this was good intro, great video. I found this first video very informative.
But you can't keep. Look, no, I got to make this criticism again, because I know I've done it before. You can't keep introing people with responses that have debunked videos with millions of views at this point, right? I mean, because if people Google it and they get Professor Dave or whoever else, it's like, oh, okay, well, there's that. So why do you keep doing it? Who needs an intro now?
Newcomers, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, the amount of newcomers versus the amount of people that have already learned about the surface of it is, of course, it's getting smaller, right? The amount of actual newcomers, except for young people, right?
I'm saying
young people, so
it's going to be more.
I'm just saying the awareness that this argument has progressed in advance. Like, you have to put that into a new entry. You know, like you can't just begin with what we started with 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Well, you do actually in school learn about supposed curvature and boats going over it before you learn how to actually work complicated math. So, right?
Yeah, but I agree with Eli because in the end of the day, if you're someone that's just throwing out unsubstantiated claims, unproven claims, and you're less professional than Professor Dave or whoever on the heliocentric side, and you're putting out these claims that you can't support, then the more professional globers and heliocentrists can't support their claims either, but they can put them out there more professionally.
Why are we assuming that, Brian?
One second, just let me finish, right? Why not show a level of professionalism where you don't make unsubstantiated claims? Because the world are sick of unsubstantiated claims.
That's what you're doing. You just have to say.
How am I doing it?
That's what I'm trying to say. We've not seen it, and like I said, I've just had a quick look. I didn't go domes and stuff in that clip video. I think before we comment, we should watch it. I know I had a fear. I can't see anything in that quick clip that makes me think, bloody hell, they're painting a picture. I think they're challenging convention, it looks like. And I think that's...
I'll give you an example of the first one that I've seen.
Cup your mic. Can't hear what you're saying, just wind. Cup the mic.
And you're eating.
The first one that I've seen, remember I was really pissed off about Dave Murphy mentioning that you can triangulate the sun. So shit like that, I guess. Yeah, no.
Well, that's not this one.
No.
Yeah, but it's connected to that one.
God, look, Adam's point, why can't you just accept it? He's saying, before you criticise it, just watch it. You don't know that they're going to be making base level assertions we disagree with unless you've watched it. Now, by the same token, again, watch my video, which is called Flat Earth, What Next? ? And in that video, we're going through exactly that. And my conclusion at the end is the only thing you can do is be a good ambassador. Now, being a good ambassador, obviously, we're going to say what we feel we present is the best information possible. And we can only justify our reasons and put it into practice, which is to say, you often will hear us debate, you won't often hear us making spurious claims we can't back. So that's it, that's all you can do.
Do you mind if I made a comment?
No, go ahead, of course.
I've watched the first level, and it's definitely publicity for money. It definitely does have some of these arguments you guys are assuming that it will have in it at the end. I will say the intro isn't bad for people that aren't in this realm as like this Discord crowd and everybody listening. It's not for advanced people to watch. It's more for people that are kind of maybe heard about it and curious and want to get it. And so the intro leads them down this path, more of like a conspiratorial mindset of looking at it and showing the 2016 YouTube censorship, hearing, and how that they've now changed the algorithm to where if you go and look anything on Flat Earth online, unless you actually know where to look, you're going to find nothing but just trolls and people making fun of it. And so that's like really the only beneficial information at the beginning that they give that is factual, that there has been a shift in access to the information. But beyond that, they do just go into their roles. There's a lot of Eric Dubé quotes, a lot of Dave Murphy quotes, played over clips of, the average things that we've seen over and over again. So you guys are kind of spot on your assumptions.
Okay.
That's
fine.
There is an alternative.
No, that's fine because you have seen it. So, that's great. Thank you. I'm glad you've summarised it towards the end of the live show.
There is an alternative, though, and it is a legitimate and a valid criticism to say that when you see these types of films, you know that there's going to be claims being made, and that is legitimate. But there is an alternative that can be done that's far more credible, in my opinion, and it's simply to define terms, things like weight, for example, and then give an example of why it's fallacious and say, well, it's because mass is a concept. Obviously, weight is W equals mg. Mass is conceptual. It's not a real thing by their own definition. G, the acceleration due to gravity. Well, there is no acceleration due to gravity. It's perceived only a bit like refraction. So when you point out these things that you define in their context, in their language, then give the problem for why it is, and then apply that to the real world, all of a sudden you then have a very credible, based in law, based in legal arguments, criticism of the current system, where you don't have to make claims, but you can attack the shit out of the claims that are made by the current scientists, not nonsense that talk about stuff. That's the better way to avoid making claims. Pull apart the claims that are made.
Any other comments?
Well, I just want to say that I agree with Anthony. The whole point of it should be to just destroy the heliocentric model. You can point, I would add in things like that are proofs of a flat plane. I would add in things that don't make sense. I just don't see the point in making all these ridiculous claims that you can't support. It's like, you're not doing me, Brian's logic, any favours with this nonsense.
Yeah. So another example would be, for example, when you define how far away the so-called horizon is. You're going to define what the horizon is an apparent position. Then you're going to say, these are the suns that tell us the geometric position. And then when you account for refraction on their model, it tells you that the horizon should be no further than this. But in real world, this is what you can see. And then talk about black swan, and then say how this is completely inconsistent with their model, and just attack their model. So you don't have to talk about our stuff. You can use our stuff to attack theirs, but not say our stuff means that there's an infinite plane or that there's an ice wall. Don't say any of that. Just use our stuff against them, not to support ourselves. Do you know what I mean?
Or just not support nonsense that isn't real. It's just not supporting nonsense that isn't real, but I'm going to have to round out the live show on that note. So if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, smashed the PayPal link, and all that good stuff. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on a premiering stream. Another thank you to today's Discord and G+ live panels, and we will see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
But it is suggestive to
It's
that.
not even
The
suggestive.
basis or the foundation for the dome arises from the requirements of the container to have gas pressure. So they said, well, what kind of container is it? A dome?
No, it's celestial sphere model. That's what it is. It's like the dome part comes from the celestial sphere model, I would say. That's where that comes from.
See, the other way of talking about the dome without saying the word dome. Talk about a terrarium. A terrarium is essentially a big ball of glass. With inside it, you've got soil and plants and life and ecosystems that all thrive without any interference from us whatsoever. You just shove a cork in it and then leave it to its own devices, and it'll continue to do stuff that it shouldn't be able to do. But obviously, it's using the temperature and the warmth and creating the sun and all that. It's doing all that. But if you talk about the terrarium and say this is how we get gas pressure and this is how we get the plants all creating the oxygen and the gases are created at ground level and they form a cycle caused by the sun, and this is how it's done. You don't have to ever mention dome. You can just demonstrate real world how the gas pressure that we're breathing is caused.
That's a good point, Tony, but it actually aggravates the situation more because a terrarium immediately invokes, oh, so what is outside of that dome then, right?
Well,
outside of it. Because we only know terrariums inside of another container with more stuff, right? And we don't know if that's actually real. So the problem is there is just a realm. There's a realm, it has a volume, it is contained. We don't exactly know how. It might be some kind of a dome thing or shape, right? I don't even think it has to be material containing us. I simply think there's no more space left for material to move into at some point. And it might be dome-shaped or it might be flat. We don't know. There's so much that technically we don't know, and that could be.
So responding to your point, what is outside the dome, who cares? It doesn't matter what's outside it. And what matters is that if you're the insect on the inside of the dome and you don't realize that your terrain is a terrarium, you're presented with the world in which you're living. You're living on this stick, and there's the odd food source that floats by, and you eat that. And what's outside that? Who cares?
You're saying who cares? People care. People have been taught that it's just a little place you can go outside. My question from that mindset would immediately be, okay, so where's the exit of the terrarium, right? Somebody filled it up.
Yeah, but
where's the cork? Yeah, so immediately what's outside? And you go right back to the cycle of, I want to know what's outside.
Yeah, but that's
when it might not be an outside.
That's when you flip it against NASA and say, well, NASA are employed to tell us the shape and the dimensions of the area in which we reside, and they're not telling us that. They're telling us other things like planets and nebulas and all that nonsense. They flip it against NASA rather than acknowledge or accept that we don't know the answer. We should flip it directly against NASA that are supposed to know the answer.
But it still invokes the curiosity and a presumption that there might be something outside and that we could still go there.
Fine, Arwen, but until you know, this is the whole conversation we're having. Don't make claims until you know what's outside.
Right, but I'm just saying that certain suggestions automatically have ideas that will come out of that. Like,
that's
hey,
fine,
what's outside, right?
But again, what supersedes my curiosity is if I make a claim, I got to back it up. So if I don't know, I'm not going to make a claim because I can't back it up. So forget my curiosity. It'll just go unanswered, or maybe in the future it might get answered. But what's on the table is what's important.
Of course. Now, that's why always you should disclaim properly.
So
but, when you don't do that, then you automatically trigger these types of psychological
conversations on just about any subject have to be corralled in when they go outside of the main point that the first speaker wanted to make. Because people say, oh, yeah, and then they go here, and another guy takes off, and wait a minute, I started it, and then you guys hijacked my point. He has to bring them back. It's always the case, no matter what the subject is. It doesn't have to be flattered.
Arwen, you said it doesn't have to be material. It could just be that there's no more space. It's like, that's a claim, Arwen. You can't back that up.
That's a description, and it's a what-if statement.
Yeah, but you didn't state it as a description. You claimed it.
I described something that could be. Yeah, that's not a claim, though.
How would you support that with physics?
I don't have to. It's not a claim. It's speculation.
It is a claim. You just made it a minute ago.
Speculation. I can
It's not
describe
a.
it to
It
you.
wasn't a claim. He literally said.
Ways. I described it a lot.
He did preface it. It wasn't a claim.
Okay, but what just happened is case in point. Seasoned debaters and debate shows that are structured like ours, at least this is my personal opinion, learn not to make claims. When the flat earthers who aren't seasoned in debating anti-flat earthers and ballers, they haven't gone through the tactics and the obfuscation techniques that we've heard, and the white knighting, and you start one, the next thing you know, you're on 10 other subjects and you're off of your point. So the whole point is, if flat earthers want to go out there and make claims, they're probably not seasoned debaters, because they ain't gonna go far when you're debating people.
So Catman, play along with me. It's a dome. What would they do after I claim it's a dome?
Prove the dome.
Well,
did you go to the edge?
Where can I touch it?
There you go.
Yeah, rakia doesn't mean dome anyway. Hard substance stamped out, that's what it means. It doesn't give a shape.
Either way, it opens you up to have to justify it. If I say containment and someone says, how do you know we have containment? I go, because we have gas pressure. And then I can demonstrate very easily the antecedent consequent relationship that is containment and gas pressure. And unless they can show otherwise, my argument wins. If I say dome, I then have to justify that claim, rather than the dome being the containment we require, and my assumption is that it's a... Well, why is your assumption a dome? Well, have you been to the edge? Have you been to the outside of it? Have you been to the roof? Wouldn't things hit it? Blah, blah, blah. No,
but this is my
containment.
point, Nathan. You've just illustrated my point. Seasoned debaters know how to debate. Because if you just say one thing that they can latch onto to take it away from the point you made, which is you can't have gas pressure without containment, they've already hijacked it, and the people are on dome now instead of the proof that you can't have gas pressure without containment.
Okay, well, there's a...
There's a guy yesterday said that planets were the container.
Okay, that's nuanced parts of certain debates in certain debating areas, whereas I think there's a much more fundamental problem within the general flat earth community, if you want to look at it from this point of view, which is to say the point of view of people who go out there and actually debate the subject. Now, in one way, you could say that's everybody who brings it up ever. So this technically applies to everyone. And the idea that you have a good grounding in how you've been deceived first, so that you can overcome those arguments and understand how those arguments are put forward in a fallacious manner. Now, in my humble opinion, the first step on that road is the understanding of the scientific method. That was my first step, and it was the first step that QE introduced me into being a better debater in this subject. So for me, the only way to do this, and to be fair, it's not like we aren't specifically doing this and haven't been for the last 3 straight years minimum, for QE even longer. You just have to do the same thing. Explain to people what the scientific method is, explain our opponents have hijacked it, explain how you can take apart their false claims of science where they don't have any, and you have to start that with a good understanding of how the scientific method works.
Yeah, yesterday in chat they were saying that spectroscopy is scientific.
I heard terrestrial spectroscopy brought up in the past. Can anyone give some clarity as to what's the difference between celestial and terrestrial spectroscopy?
Yeah, spectroscopy is a complicated subject. To kind of, the best thing to do is that if anyone wants to learn about it, is go to QE's channel and watch his videos on it. They lay it out perfectly. The main difference.
Go on, Brian.
The main difference between terrestrial and celestial spectroscopy is that terrestrial spectroscopy is done within within, oh man, I'm losing my train of thought, within a sterile enclosed environment. It's done within a machine that costs about $120,000. There is no outside elements or outside influence in what goes on within this machine. Whereas celestial spectroscopy uses all kinds of nonsense. There's no controls. There's no controls or empiricism. They even use satellites. It's a complete and utter warble. You know,
It's
celestial
just
spectroscopy is complete and utter nonsense.
They're using the blueprints, like the readouts of actual terrestrial spectroscopy, and then looking at light, divining what the material is, right? And then coming to an agreement on that on average. So that's what it is. It's divining the light based on actual spectroscopy.
Right. So the main difference is one has a reasonably valid method of inquiry in terms of investigation because of its sterile nature and its contained environment when studying stuff. Whereas looking at light through Earth's quote-unquote atmosphere and a billion miles of God knows what in between isn't really as valid. That's stellar or celestial spectroscopy.
Awesome. I'll reference QE's work.
Or more Dr. John D, as he's a qualified spectroscoper.
Dr. John D, got it.
Does Dr. John have videos out on it, though, like QE does? For someone to learn?
Well, you can find those on QE's channel.
Okay.
Because of the show here and the way we go about it, and all of us probably have done this. I'll speak of my own experience. Run into people who are flat earthers, friends of mine, friends of my friends, and they'll want to just chat and go over some of the reasons why they can't believe people believe the Earth is a globe. And they go with these arguments, and I hear them, and I say, pause. Now, if you were debating that, here's what I would say, and you have no way of proving it. So why say it that way? Consider saying it this way. Oh, okay, thanks. That makes a lot more sense. So what's happening out there, at least in my experience, is I'm hearing, because of the show and because of the arguments and the experience you get just listening to these shows. You don't even have to be a panel member. You get an insight on what works, what doesn't work. Now, we wish the whole family of flat earthers would raise their game so that you keep it concise to the point to where the opposition can't hijack anything, obfuscate, or do anything with it. It's not there yet. Hopefully it'll get there.
Well, I was watching a small bit of a Globebuster show in the past few days, and you had Bob Nodell, David Weiss, and Jerome Campanella on with Ken Wheeler.
Yep.
Right. Now, I only watched a small bit of it, but Ken Wheeler had to correct David Weiss. David Weiss was talking about the Kola super deep borehole. They didn't even know the proper name, the proper term for someone to even search on the internet. And they didn't even know the correct depth. You know, they should have like the correct depth at least. You know, things like that. They didn't even have it down just there on hand, or at hand, I should say. But Ken Wheeler had to correct David Weiss, because David Weiss had a photograph of like a mine or something, but it wasn't the Kola super deep borehole. Whereas Ken Wheeler had to point out that's not the Kola super deep borehole. Now that looks bad when someone who's not even a flat earther has to correct you on something as silly as that. I mean, anyone can look. As soon as I heard about Kola super deep borehole, I looked it up, you know, and I saw that it wasn't this big huge crater. It's only a small, about a foot wide or 2 foot wide.
It's not even that.
Diameter.
It's a few inches wide. So when you say it's a foot wide, the plate that covers it, so they had people come in and dropping pennies down it and shit, you know, so they wanted to stop that. So they basically welded a plate on top of it, which, to be fair, is about a foot wide. But it's a borehole. I mean, I don't know if anybody's got experience. I happen to have not experience in borehole drilling, but my folks had a borehole drilled. You know, they ran out of water, they needed it, they were on the news because they ran out of water, so they drilled a borehole. Well, these things are a couple of inches in diameter. They're not big, they're not massive things. You imagine it like something out of a movie with, like, you know, the giant teeth, like in, I think it's in Total Recall, you know, and they're drilling in Mars and they've got those massive, great big machines with all sorts of drill bits swirling around. That's kind of what you picture when you talk about a 12 kilometre deep hole, right? That's what you picture. Not at all. It's a couple of inches wide.
Yeah, and it's like that David Weiss didn't know that. It's like that looks bad when someone like Ken Wheeler has to correct you on that. And I think there was other things he corrected them on to do with dielectric stuff as well. But that looks bad. From my point of view, that looks bad. You can't, like, you know, you're presenting something and you have the wrong photograph and you don't even know the details of the claim you're talking about, even though what you're saying is true. It looks bad. You know, you can't be doing that. It's not 2015 anymore.
Oh, you've got to be careful with how you say stuff, right? You can't say you can't be doing that. Bad for business, I can get behind that completely, and I can justify why. But can't be doing that. They can do what the hell they like.
Okay, I retract that. It's bad for business then, I'd say, rather than saying you can't be doing that.
And when we say bad for business, I'll clarify this again, we don't mean transactional business because there is no money exchange. Smash the super chat, by the way. This doesn't cost anything. Please support me on PayPal. You don't have to give anybody any money to take in this information. I also have Patreon. But yes, joking aside, there's no actual money changing hands. When we say bad for business, bad for the business of informing people that the Earth is obviously observably and measurably flat, and the idea that we have a curved surface violates the celestial sphere model, which it's all based on. That is the concise summary of what we want to give across to people and them understand when we tell them. That's what we mean when we say business. That's what business we are in. We just don't sell it. We don't actually say, I've got a secret to tell you. If you give me £50, I'll tell it you. That isn't what we mean.
Yeah, like QE even posted stuff in the War Room, I think, and Master B, to do with some claims made within that interview. He only watched a small bit of the first few minutes of it. And they were making claims to do with Einstein and Aether, and they had all the claims completely wrong. They were all completely wrong. He had to, like, he put it on in the War Room. I'm not going to go talking about it because he has the information more than I have. So I'm not going to try and be an expert on something that I'm not. But I knew when they were saying what they were saying, they were wrong. You know, they were saying Einstein hated the Aether and this, that, and everything. He didn't. You know, the links are there in Master B from QE, showing how that wasn't the case at all. What they said about Einstein and the Aether and other claims they were making to do with quantum mechanics were wrong. It's like there's all these mad, crazy claims. Like, get your facts straight.
Were they corrected? Were those details corrected on the show? I.e., did Ken Wheeler know better?
No, they all got everything wrong. None of them seemed to know what they were talking about. When it came to Einstein and the Aether, none of them knew.
Okay.
I mean, me personally, I kind of agree with Ken Wheeler on his Ether theory.
Okay. What's Ether?
I can only explain it as in an analogy of being like the casing around the copper wire. That's what it is.
The casing around a copper wire?
Yeah, the thing to hold everything in to make it all work.
That made so little sense to me. Please explain.
No, you can't explain it. It's, I don't know. You can't even point to ether. Ether is ether. It's just how things propagate within our medium.
Propagate? Well, like life.
And there comes the technobabble.
What do you mean, how things propagate? No?
Well, he's invoked a medium. That's already apparent. He invoked a medium for ether, so that's trouble.
Told us that you believe in it. Why? What's to believe in? What I'm looking for is some romantic rendition of what's convinced you. Chaos. No? Nothing?
Wow, you couldn't have a better real life example than that about the subject we're talking about.
It's remember a bit ago, Nathan, I said I'd heard a voice, and you said was it Paul Michael Bale, and I still don't know if it is, but the website is AWAR, and he's been doing a lost history of flat Earth, and in the first episode he's talking blood floods, ether, all sorts of things, and he's come to this final one, and he's made an apology, and makes the statement that I've always said is, you must be very careful with ether, whether you believe it or not. To try and use it as an explanation, we end up sounding just like the heliocentrists. And it is, in effect, our dark energy and dark matter. It's where we dump all our problems and fix all our problems, more importantly, to allow our paradigm to continue. So really, really good
excellent.
video.
Hold on. That's excellent, Adam. I know I might be putting you on the spot, so if you don't know, just say. What problems would they be?
Propagation of light.
Is that a problem?
It is if you believe in ether.
It is if you believe in light propagating through a medium.
If you believe it's a wave, yeah. If you believe it's not a particle, then you believe it has a wave as opposed to a probability, then if it's a wave, then a wave requires a medium.
I gave you loads of opportunity to answer us. Who was that? Was that Chaos?
No.
Oh, who was that? Was it you that was talking earlier? Die slow.
I mentioned one thing. I just said ether has nothing to do with a wave.
It's the medium that lights. It's claimed to be the medium that light as a wave traverses.
A wave is not a thing. A wave is
what
a thing does.
Did I stutter? You said it's got nothing to do with waves. My response: ether is claimed to be the medium light as a wave propagates through. When the guy who spoke earlier said propagation, that's what he meant when he said propagation. The propagation of light as a wave through the medium of ether. So you're just going to completely ignore me? Second time, maybe talk through me. You are wrong. Just be nice if you said, oh, all right, when I said nothing to do with light as a wave, no, that was wrong. I've corrected you. Can you acknowledge that now? Thank you.
Yeah, there is no wave to do with the light. Light has nothing to do with
No. That's not what you claimed. Ether, not light. We know light has absolute... Shh. Can you stop doing this, right? I'm correcting you. Don't need to interrupt. So, no, we understand that light is not a wave. A probability distribution known as wave function, mathematically described. No, that's not what it physically is. We know that. However, people who don't understand that fact, that light being described as a probability distribution, aka wave function, have misinterpreted it to mean that it is actually a wave and requires a medium, and those people say it's ether in this specific context. Something you opened with saying it's not anything to do with ether and waves. That was your opening statement. You're wrong. It's the third time I've said it. You've yet to acknowledge it. Very irritating. Hello, ether has everything to do with light being a wave. You said it wasn't. You are wrong. 4th time's the charm.
Yep, I'm wrong. You're right. Cool.
Excellent. So given that you were incorrect, the fact remains that people who misinterpret light wave function as light requiring a medium go on to claim we've got that medium in the form of ether. Total nonsense.
Anti-ether, are you?
Say again?
You're anti-ether and you don't even know
what's
anything
ether?
about it.
Sorry, what's I'm anti-Narnia, am I? What's ether for me to be
you're
anti?
Anti-ether when you don't know anything about it.
So what is it exactly for me to
Go
be anti
look into it. Why don't you do that? Because you're not willing to listen to me or anyone else.
Listen to you what? Tell me it's got nothing to do with waves. Well, that convinces me it's real.
You
What
don't
is
want
it?
to listen, so go look into it.
What is it? Tell me what it is.
Go find out for yourself.
I know, I've just told you. It's the claimed medium that light as a wave propagates through. Hello? I do know. You told me it wasn't anything to do with waves. So why are you telling me to go up and look up the crap I debunk from the flat earth side when you are clearly one of the proponents of it and you don't even know what it is?
Okay.
Yeah, okay. You're telling me to look it up. I know what it is. You don't.
Been on here for the last
You
2
don't
years
know what it
talking
is.
about
You
ether.
don't. You don't know what
sure.
it is. You just believe in it for some unknown reason, despite having not looked it up. And the fact that you haven't looked it up is now being projected on me like I have to. No, my friend, you need to go up and look up the crap you are putting forward here today. You don't understand ether. Not me. Don't project your lack of research onto me. I do know what it is. I had to correct you when you said it had nothing to do with waves. Go look up your crap. Don't tell me to.
It's not a wave. Light's not a...
So why are you telling me about what it is and isn't, you stupid boy?
Right fucking...
Why are you telling me you don't know? Go look it up.
Fucking mouth again.
Why are you now swearing at me?
A little bit.
You do not know what you are claiming. You are one of the morons we example when we talk about stupid idiots who go around claiming crap they don't understand. And then when it's pointed out that they don't understand it, when they claim it has nothing to do with waves, they tell the person who's corrected them that they need to go and look it up. Why? Because it's defied your stupid belief in it?
Daislo, why are you negating gravity?
Ugh. I'm asking him a question, Sasha.
Why are you negating
Sasha, I'm
gravity?
asking him a question.
Because you can't prove it.
And now I've got... Hello? I'm asking Daislo why he's telling me to look up something that I've had to correct him on.
You didn't correct shit.
Sorry, so ether has nothing to do with waves. Correction. Everything to do with waves. It's the misapprehension of light as a wave travelling through a medium. That was my correction to your misapprehension. You've then projected your lack of understanding that was corrected by me onto me by telling me to go and look up ether.
What's a wave?
Sorry, why are you asking me a question now? Very irritating. You do not understand what ether is. I have already had to correct you once on what it is. Now you're asking me questions about it. You don't need to be asking me anything. You don't understand what you are claiming. You need to go and take your own advice and look up the crap you are claiming. Don't tell me to do it.
Tell us what a wave is.
Why? I'm not claiming one. You are.
Wave.
I'm not claiming anything to do with waves here. Wave function I have detailed. Do you want to know what wave function is? Because that's the only thing I've specifically mentioned.
You're going to invoke a fucking wave.
I'm not going to invoke anything. I'm going to detail what wave function is. It's the only thing I've specified.
I want to hear about your Narnia nonsense.
Kick him out.
There's no wave function.
Triggered, fundy, flatty. Triggered because ether's not real. So you're going to swear and curse and chant and demand I look stuff up.
What a wave.
You're just chanting through me. Because you're a bit upset. Because Ken and Bob have misled you into thinking light's a wave and needs a medium. And you're going to claim in your nonsensical idiocy, because you don't understand your own claim, that it's nothing to do with waves. Go and look up your own stupid claim. You're an idiot. You don't understand what ether is.
I had those quotes from Einstein if you want them, Nathan.
Oh, by all means, maybe this fundy flatty will chant through you, tell you to go look it up while you read it out.
Okay, I'll read them out. From Einstein. We may say that according to the general theory of relativity, space is endowed with physical qualities. In this sense, therefore, there exists an ether. According to the general theory of relativity, space without ether is unthinkable, for in such space there would not only be no propagation of light, but also no possibility of existence for standards of space and time, measuring rods and clocks. That's what QE put in. Nor therefore any space-time intervals in the physical sense. But this ether may be but this ether may not be thought of as endowed with the quality characteristic of ponderable media, as consisting of parts which may be tracked through time. The idea of motion may not be applied to it. Albert Einstein, Ether and the Theory of General Relativity, 1920, published in Lights on Relativity, Methuen, London, 1922.
Good stuff.
In all fairness, that is part of the hijacking of the old way of thinking, the transitional stuff. So he takes that and defines it in terms of his mathematics, doesn't he? It's the thing. It's the matrix is what he's taking it to be, isn't it? The very fabric in a fourth dimension. Because he has to have something to hang all his stuff on, a reference frame.
So, did you hear that, Dicelo? Hopefully you can't.
I need a tap dance for you, dude.
Did you want to give us your citation for what Aether is?
No, I don't.
Oh, right.
I don't have.
So why the fuck did you tell me to look it up then? What would I be looking up? Something that you haven't got to hand and don't know what you'd be looking at? I.e. you don't know what it is, and in spite of us now defining it in the words of Einstein, you don't want to tell us? Yeah, in reality, just projection, Dicelo. You didn't know what Aether was, and when having your corrections put to you, you decided to tell me to go look it up. Yeah, that's projection, my friend. You need to go and look up what Aether is before you come here and claim it, or tell us what it isn't.
There's no conversation with you, man.
What? What? Sorry, did you only want to be talking while I'm talking?
Said it's impossible to conversate with you. Ask someone else.
So you told me what it wasn't, then told me to look it up, then Brian went and got a definition from Einstein. Now I'm saying, given that you are telling me to look it up, now my panel's done it for me. Now let's see what you've got, given that you're demanding we look it up.
Einstein's a proponent of the ether.
That's not what I asked.
He doesn't know.
Sorry, did I ask you for your opinions on Einstein? No, given that Brian's just gone and got a reference from Einstein, I'd like yours now, given you're telling me to go look it up. What have you got?
Why would you look up?
So why would I? You're going to ask me a question rather than just give us a citation that I'd be looking for, given that you're directing me to look it up. Direct me where I would be looking it up based on what you looked up.
Yeah, go look up.
No, don't tell me to do something. Provide something.
Go look up his understanding on it. Not fucking Einstein.
Don't swear at me or tell me what not to look up. You've told me to go and look something up, and I'm suggesting, based on what you looked up, you indicate what that is and tell me to go and look at that. So far, it seems like you've not looked up anything. Therefore, you have nothing to reference. Hello? What have you got to offer that you referenced?
Not tap dancing for you, dude.
So you're going to tell me what you haven't or not done? Tell me what you did do.
Can you tell me what a wave...
Can I do something when I'm asking you to give me what you reference?
Yeah, I'm asking...
No. I'm highlighting with great effect how inadequate your research has been.
To be fair, it is, Nathan.
Hello? Do you want to give me something that you referenced? For Ether that you believe in?
Yeah, no conversating with you, man.
So it's no conversating. I'm asking you to provide something. You told me to go look it up. So one would naturally assume that you've already done that, and you could say, I looked it up. Here's what I looked at.
Yeah, there's no ether, bro. It doesn't exist. It's all good, bro. Keep going about your life.
But don't call me bro. I'm not your bro.
All right, slime bag.
Sorry, why are you calling me a name? Is it because I've shattered your disillusions?
Sucker, that's why. You're a fucking asshole.
So swear at me. Another triggered flat earther with fundamentalist religious beliefs in ether being shown to be wrong and descending into ad hominem fallacy and admirably demonstrating his total lack of research. Hasn't looked at this at all, but is more than happy to swear and curse at me and demand I go look it up. No, my friend, I'm perfectly au fait with ether and what it is and isn't. You, on the other hand, have the slightest clue. That's plainly obvious, otherwise you'd just present what you'd referenced when you told me to go and look it up. Yeah, that's what we get from idiot flat earthers, them telling us how they think they know better. I get it all the time. Oh, well, have you considered... I don't really want to consider anything. I don't get my ass handed to me when it comes to these subject matters, do I? So, yeah, you can keep your arrogance and telling me what I need to look up. And understand this. I ain't getting my ass handed to me by fucking flatties or globies ever. Because I do know what I'm talking about and have researched this shit that you think you need to believe because some other guy on YouTube told you to. Didn't give you anything to go and look up or back up his crap. You just took it as read and are now parroting it back off to me with absolutely no research being done whatsoever. Pathetic. You're an embarrassment to Flat Earth.
Your words mean nothing, bro.
Oh, really? Well, maybe something tangible that does mean something. Maybe you could provide me with some sort of reference for ether. That might mean something. Or maybe, after just ad-homming me, you could talk through my response.
You're a
Yeah, you could just talk through me and call me names. Well, I say maybe you could give me something tangible that I could look at then.
Yeah,
that would be
Einstein, you fucking idiot.
Go on then. What part of Einstein? What are you going to give me? His field equations?
Yeah, go quote Einstein.
Go quote Einstein. What? His field equations? Which one?
Fucking Einstein.
So are you just going to swear at me, or are you going to actually give me something from Einstein?
Yeah.
Yeah, you haven't got anything. You're a retard. You're an embarrassment to this subject matter. You shouldn't be here telling me what to go look up when you haven't got the vaguest clue what you're even claiming. What you are doing, this is why I've kept this show going, is pointing out what Brian has highlighted during the show, which is we're surrounded by idiots that don't even know what they're claiming, but they'll tell us that we need to go do research. Won't you, you arrogant little prick? You're an embarrassment to this subject.
Go look up Charles Proteus Steinmetz, dude. You probably haven't even heard the fucking name before.
Oh, post it. Post it in live chat. Let's see what this says.
Moron.
Post it. Don't swear at me, just post it. Let's have a little look.
I can't wait.
Yeah, let me pull over.
Excellent. We'll have a little look at your ether. Hopefully without you swearing at me.
There is no...
Go on,
just for the record, there is no word conversate. It's conversing. Please get it right.
Hey, don't worry about that.
Indeed.
Would this happen without an audience for him?
I mean, how do you mean? Would this happen without an audience? What do you mean?
All right, I'm posting it in main chat here.
Thank you very much. Finally.
Conversate is also a word.
Yeah, it's a word. I didn't want to say that.
Oh, man, just say conversate.
I didn't want to say that, Eli, but thank you.
I want to see that.
That's not major on the minors. I've already tried to brush this under the carpet once.
Dumbass.
Okay, no need. Right, can somebody dig out this from main chat? I don't actually know how to get it. How embarrassing. Post it in main chat. Can someone get it from main chat? I don't actually know how to use it.
Give me 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. And thank you for posting it. Could have spared us all the swearing beforehand.
Or is it in main chat?
Yeah.
And who's posted this?
Die slow.
Flatter passing us by is like
It's quite long, so I've got to post it
the
in
worst
sections.
reification fallacy I've ever heard. It's just the Earth
Holy
doesn't
shit.
move. It's,
Hold on, Eli.
I don't know if you caught what I said at all, but okay.
It's quite long. How long's the? It's a citation or a reference. Yeah. Is it the full? When I said citation, do you know what that means?
Well, yeah, you want a source.
No.
So
that would be a no.
There's some
so that would be a no. That would be a no.
Oh, okay.
Don't know what I
What do
mean
you
when I say citation. Do you hear source, or do you hear citation?
What do you want? Peer review?
Sorry. Do you know what a citation is? You answer. That means you want a source. That means you don't know what a citation is. Then just say no. I don't know what that means, rather than claiming I said source when I didn't say it. No, I didn't ask for a source. I asked for a citation. You just don't know what that means, do you? Just say no. I don't know what that word means. Clearly, it's already been demonstrated that you don't.
Anything, bro.
Don't
have
call me
some
bro.
humility.
My God, have some humility, as Arwin just said. No, it's been demonstrated that you don't know what that word means. So just say no, I don't. This is why you're an embarrassment. Yeah, because you've got no humility. When I hear a new word, do you know what I typically do? I go, what does that mean? Because I've never heard it before and I don't know what it means. And I don't want to be stupid and get it wrong or misinterpret what's being said. You hear a word that you don't know and you just decide to make up a different word and then talk through the person who's got annoyed with you. No, I did not ask for a reference. I asked you if you had a citation.
Especially in a scholarly work. Wow. So when I say, do you want a fucking reference or a...
No, I don't!
Fucking shit.
You stupid boy.
Axiomatic.
Hello? You stop talking. Right? I asked you what you had referenced.
Fuck, I just gave you the definition, you numbnut.
I want a citation.
This is impossible to have a conversation.
Yeah, because you're stupid and you don't know what the words we're using mean. So it's nigh on impossible to communicate with you because you're thick. When I say citation, you hear a different word and go out and dig out a 5-page reference.
A definition from fucking Google.
Sorry, a definition from Google. Google's a search engine.
Definition and
Sorry, a definition won't come from a search engine. Hello? When you say it's difficult to converse with us, it's because you are stupid. You don't do any research. You think Google is a citation. You provide references when asked for citations. You state that when asked for a citation, it meant reference. So you are nigh on impossible to communicate with because you're below the educational standards of the people here.
Source, actually.
And that's a citation, is it? What's a citation?
The source of...
Sorry, I didn't ask for that, though.
Hello,
I didn't ask for that.
What the fuck?
Hello?
Jesus Christmas, dude.
Look, my friend, you are below the intellectual standards of the people you are conversing with. And that makes it difficult for everybody.
Here, I'll post the definition for you so I
of
can
citation?
help you out a little bit.
Of citation?
Yeah.
I wanted a citation.
Here's your
Sorry,
definition.
do you know the difference between definition and citation? You just decided to invent a third word when I've asked for a citation. You just decided it's not reference anymore, it's definition now.
And you are driving, so you just pulled over. I know you're not drunk. So you hear him asking for a citation. Obviously, every time you answer a retort with source.
He just wants to ad hom you. When we point out how embarrassingly stupid his behaviour and his general verbalisation of his argumentation here has been, he starts swearing at you. No, just accept the fact. It's okay to be less intelligent than the people around you. Just don't be so arrogant as to tell them to go look up stuff you're claiming incorrectly. Because it's infuriating, right? You stupid little pissant dickhead. You're thick, don't tell me to do anything, and certainly don't swear at me when we attempt to correct your bat-sit insane stupidity at length. Just shut up and thank us.
This is an incentive for you to correct yourself, not to be belligerent right back. Right? That's what this is. It's a test. Humility.
The short answer is no.
No, he doesn't know what a
Correct
citation
grammar
is.
is converse.
No, he doesn't know what a reference is when asked for a citation. He thinks it's a definition. We're just going to go on like this forever. And this is unfortunate. That's what we are left with here. Flatties coming in, arguing with us about bloody Aether, telling us we need to look it up. Oh, really? You think in the last 7 years of doing this, I haven't come across the subject before? Shockingly, no. I have come across Aether before.
It's still a word.
The arrogance of it, just off the scale. Off the scale. Why? Well, because he's embarrassed. He's embarrassed that he doesn't really know what he's talking about, but wants to seem smart, so he's come here, started talking about something he's heard Ken Wheeler and Bob talking about, starts thinking he can correct us. No, absolutely not. Ken Wheeler and Bob are my bitches as far as this concerns. Them. They don't know what they are talking about. They have misinterpreted light. And they think there's a medium in replacement of a sky vacuum, right? They also think that gas, matter, goes down. They are seriously deluded in this regard. And I'm more than content to tell them and back up what I say. Now, you, on the other hand, are telling me I need to look up Aether. What is it, I ask? Have you got anything that you can provide? Do you have any citations that you referenced when you researched it? What have we got? Well, here's something I quickly searched on Google.
If you don't mind, Nathan, do you mind clarifying your dissatisfaction with his answer of source when you asked him about citation?
Oh, what's the difference, my friend? Who asked that? Who asked that? Who asked that?
The hammer.
The hammer? My friend, what is the difference between a source and a citation?
What? I mean, as far as I'm aware, the citation is the reference to the source. I'm not trying to be. That's just how I'm aware of it.
So you don't know
I'm
either.
happy to.
So correct me if if I was to say. So would you just stop for a moment? You don't know either, then.
I'm happy to entertain that. Absolutely.
Okay. So you're asking why I'd have an issue with it? Would you not think it would be pertinent, given I've just grilled that guy, to maybe just type in citation into Google with the word definition afterwards before asking that question?
Absolutely.
Well, do you want to do that for me?
Absolutely.
Do you want to just do that for me?
Sure. Absolutely.
Thank you.
I mean, I have it up on Wikipedia. Do you want the actual definition?
That'd be perfect. Thank you so much.
Actual definition. Citation definition. It says a quotation from or reference to a book, paper, or author.
Stop.
Okay.
Somebody talked over you.
Yep.
Just give me the first two words again.
Sorry about that. A quotation from or
sorry, stop. So when he gave us 5 pages, do you think that was a quotation?
No.
Oh, so what, pray tell, do you think my problem might be with that then? Now you've looked it up.
He was giving you the whole book and not just citing a citation from it, basically.
Not a citation, the entire source. So when I said citation and he went and got me the whole source, that wouldn't be a citation because that would be a quote. You all cool with the answer? We all clear why that's irritating?
Yep. I appreciate you clarifying it. Thank you.
No, that's okay. Better than Dice Loaded, because he'd have just called me a fucking asshole, swore at me, and talked through every word of me responding to him that he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. And around people, you see, that demonstrates intelligence. Not knowing what something is and asking what it is, that demonstrates intelligence. Telling the person who's pointing out how fucking wrong you are, how they're stupid and need to look stuff up, that's a sign of stupidity. Just so you know, Dice Low. That demonstrates how stupid you are. Do you see the difference? There's a distinct difference, Dice Low.
You're an asshole, bro.
Proud to highlight it too, Nathan.
Yeah, thank you for pointing out to my audience how unbelievably retarded you actually are. Yeah, we've just had a back and forth between somebody more intelligent than you that had the humility to say, I don't know what this word means, and then he looked it up, admittedly at my behest, which isn't great for his intelligence scale, but there we go, we won't cover that too much. He did actually get to the point where he looked it up and realised why it would be irritating. You spent 10 or 15 minutes swearing at me. Do you see the difference in intelligence there, Dicelo, or not?
Nathan, fuck you.
Yeah, again, another admirable demonstration of how retarded you are. I hope you feel thick.
And
you are.
In terms of that citation that you're saying, Nathan, normally a citation has to say almost word for word what it is that you're postulating. So it's that specific sentence in that source material that absolutely corroborates the idea that you're presenting. And that's what you asked for, and not at one point was Dicelo able to provide that.
Right, so a citation for Aether.
Can I read out?
Now, if you wish.
Go on, Adam.
Can I just read out?
I had Brian first, though. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I have the citation definition from physics, which would be what we should really be looking for. So from physics 354, from kettering.edu, definitions, citations, the in-text reference that gives brief details, author, date, page of the source you are quoting or referring to.
Thank you. Go ahead, Adam. Thank you. That was perfect.
So this is from Encyclopedia Britannica section on Aether. Ether, also spelled ether, also called luminiferous ether in physics, a theoretical universal substance believed during the 19th century to act as the medium for transmission of electromagnetic waves, e.g. light and X-rays. Much as sound waves are transmitted by elastic media such as the air. The ether was assumed to be weightless, transparent, frictionless, undetectable chemically or physically, and literally permeating all matter and space. The theory met with increasing difficulties as the nature of light and the structure of matter became better understood. It was seriously weakened in 1887 by Michelson-Morley experiment, which they designed specifically to detect the motion of Earth through the ether, and which showed there was no such effect. Ether theories were also used to explain gravity beginning in the 17th century, but they did not have the popularity of those explaining the propagation of light.
As a wave.
Sounds a lot like dark
Sorry,
matter
hold on,
to
Arwin.
me.
Sorry, as a wave.
Yes, yeah, the propagation as in for light to be propagating in the ether as a wave.
Okay,
yeah.
so it specifically mentioned electromagnetic waves, though, did it not?
Yes, yeah.
Just for Dicelo's benefit, because he keeps calling me a fucking
You
moron
realize
and
there's
stuff.
over 100 different
Sorry,
postulates.
I wasn't talking to you, Dicelo. Dicelo.
Yeah, good job,
The
bro.
useful information for an audience is also the correction for your stupidity, because you opened your statement by telling us that ether had nothing to do with waves. I'm just going to get Adam to correct you again, hopefully without you interrupting him, because it's embarrassing. Hopefully without any further embarrassing interruptions from you. Could you just repeat the part about waves, please,
words,
Adam?
Bro. Fit your narrative.
Go ahead. It's the opening paragraph, so under ether. Ether, a theoretical universal substance believed during the 19th century to act as the medium for transmission of electromagnetic waves, e.g. light and X-rays.
So it would be very specifically, as I corrected you immediately, about the very specific need for a medium to transmit light as the misapprehension of it being a wave. That was how I corrected you. I'm pretty sure I corrected it in that way, almost verbatim. And you started swearing at me and telling me I needed to look something up. Do you now understand that it is in fact you who needs to go and look up your nonsense that you're parroting from Bob and the tattooed monkey? You need to go and look it up. You thought it didn't have anything to do with waves, Dicelo. You were wrong. Do you understand that now? You do?
Over 100 different
Sorry, I didn't ask for any opinions. I just asked if you understood that you were incorrect when you stated incorrectly that it has nothing to do with waves? Do you understand how wrong
You're talking
you
about
were
the
now?
luminiferous ether.
Sorry, I haven't asked for any opinions about luminiferous anything. I've asked you to confirm that you understand how wrong you were.
With one of the many postulates. Yeah, there's over a...
Sorry, with one of the many postulates isn't a response for me asking you if you understand when stating, as you did incorrectly, that it has nothing to do with waves, and I corrected you that it is in fact a claim that light as a wave, which it isn't, needs a medium to travel through. Do you understand how wrong you were now, Dicelo?
That wasn't my claim.
That was precisely what you said.
Never once did I say that.
You said ether has nothing to do with waves.
You're talking about a different...
Don't tell me what I'm talking about. You specifically said ether has nothing to do with waves. Light isn't a wave, but the misapprehension of light being a wave is used to claim the medium of ether. You claimed it had nothing to do with waves, which light isn't.
No,
However,
it doesn't.
ether
It
is
has to do
claimed
with
to be
oscillation.
everything to do with light as a wave.
Oscillating, not waves. Hello, wake up.
Sorry, my friend, light is not a wave, and it does not require a medium. The wave function, mathematical description of, that would be light diffraction, isn't a wave and doesn't need a medium. However, contrary to what you stated about ether, ether is absolutely about a medium being required for light as a wave.
No, not my claim.
That's what you stated when you first joined this discussion.
Never once.
But
Now you're over
I'm
here
confused.
trying to
Why are you saying now that there's 100 different postulations of what ether is? If that's the case, then why are you so mad at what Nathan
Let me just get his claim. Hold on.
You're going to read
Hold
one
on.
of the many, and you're going to try to straw man me.
Sorry,
That's
Dicelo.
why are you saying
Dicelo,
that
can I just
Nathan
ask a quick
is
question?
wrong? I don't
Quick
understand.
question. Dicelo, are you suggesting that you did not state at the beginning of your discussion here that waves had nothing to do with ether? Because, before you answer, if I go back to the recording and find that you have stated that, you will never return.
Yes, waves have nothing to do with ether. I'll say...
There's his fucking claiming it.
Waves.
So there's you stating it again.
Fucking idiot.
So don't swear at me. Now, if the audience don't appreciate how unbelievably irritating it is for me to spend about the last 5 minutes clarifying with him denying that he specifically said light as a wave hasn't got anything to do with ether, him denying it and then literally stating it in the last 30 seconds, that's irritating.
He's just being belligerent at this point.
Yeah, so you did specifically say, and did just say literally 25 seconds ago, that light as a wave's got nothing to do with ether.
Light is not a wave. Ether's not a wave.
Bruh.
So, light is not a wave, so therefore what does it have to do with ether? Well, it doesn't, because ether's required for light as a wave. Okay?
Straw man.
Not a straw man. It just got read out as the definition. Don't straw man bro me when it's just been read out as the very specifics of ether by Adam about 10 minutes ago. Not straw man, the specific claim that you got wrong.
Some bullshit nonsense that you found.
Not nonsense. A citation.
Why don't you go read what I...
Sorry, a citation. Now he's back to telling me what I need to go and read. What, 5 pages of crap with nothing referencing how ether is a real thing?
Because it doesn't agree with him.
Neil over here licking...
Oh, no, don't start ad hominem and being filthy. Just not needed. I'm sick of it. We surround ourselves with flat earthers, and I sometimes feel very reluctant to call myself one, because you typify your average flat earth retard.
Has nothing to do with Nathan. I despise ether, and everybody on this panel knows it. All right, jug off?
Just nonsense.
Yeah, I hear you every day licking his nuts, dude.
Sorry, why are you doing this? All you did was claim that light as a wave had nothing to do with ether, then denied it, lied about it, caused a massive blazing row, demanded that we need to go and look stuff up. So we did. And then all you've done is tell me and my panel that, what, we're licking each other's balls? No, when I say that, it has comedic value because I've just annihilated my opponent. Yeah? So me saying now, you lying, dying in a pool of your own blood as a metaphor from a video game, and me slapping my nuts around your face because you specifically say light as a wave's got nothing to do with ether, I've demonstrated that to be incorrect. That's a teabagging. You telling Neil that he likes licking my balls is just repugnant nonsense. It's not a metaphor, it's not a victory dance, it's just repugnant.
It's projection.
It's called, hold on, it's called respect
it's projection.
to the man's
it's
show.
What he's doing.
No, what I do is I respect Nathan's show.
This guy kicks you every day, bro. He treats you like shit.
So what the hell does that have to do with your nonsense assertion that ether doesn't have anything to do with waves when that's precisely what it is?
If everybody,
you said before that there were hundreds of iterations of what ether is, right? So are there iterations of ether that have to do with waves?
Read what I posted.
Light as a wave.
What, the 20 pages or whatever of reference that you sent us, should we just spend half an hour reading through that book?
Oh, it's too long.
It's too long. It's not a citation. It doesn't back anything.
Why can't you just answer the question? I got to go back into work real quick. I'm just asking a quick question.
There, dude.
Oh, just a book for you to read through.
So you can't answer the question. I'm just asking you. You're saying ether has nothing to do with waves, but then you said there are hundreds of iterations of what ether is. Are there iterations of ether that have to do with waves or light as a wave?
I'm sure there is.
Just Google it, bro.
You're sure there is. So
I'm sure there is. So your statement has nothing to do with ether, factually and by your own definition, incorrect then.
Right.
All the different postulates of ether.
All the different postulates. So when you said nothing to do with ether, factually wrong then.
I mean, thanks for answering my question.
So after reading ether, what is it?
So why are you asking me? I'm not claiming it. I couldn't give a shit. It's nonsense. It doesn't exist. It's a medium that is required if you believe that the diffraction of light, when qualified as a wave function, makes it a physical wave that requires a medium. It's not real.
Stop digging.
You told him to look it up. You told him to look it up, but then you said there's like 100 different versions. So, like, if you were being honest, you would just propose what it is you're talking about, share the material. I guess you've given us a source to read later. I don't know, I guess. But come on. He can't look it up if there's 100 different versions.
I have it. I have his definition on screen if you want me to. I'll try and get my mouth around it. It's very Ken Wheelerish, but
okay.
Okay. The ether is pure potential, non-Cartesian counterspatial inertia, the essence of all field modalities. The attribute of the ether is the Aristos dyad, so-called indefinite dyad or attribute of the absolute. Only two foundations of cosmic foundations have ever been postulated, one being the ether, the other an impossibility for which observed phenomena say is false, that being atomism. Ether is the antecedent subject we loosely call energy or pure potential, from which, by which, and of which all things are possible. All matter and atoms are compounded ether condensates or ultra-high energy light compounds. Thank you.
What? So what is it?
That was one portion of it. Why don't you
bullshit.
continue on? That wasn't all of it. Why don't you finish reading what I put?
Oh, you be his guest. Go ahead.
I'm driving.
Oh, fair enough. So it doesn't tell me what it is, though. What is it? Potential energy.
It's like dark matter. It's an unresolved thing. So they built an entire framework to account for that, just like dark matter did with gravity in the universe model.
Projection, you're licking Ken Wheeler's balls.
So what is it, though? Adam, can you glean anything from that tells me what it is?
It tells you that, I think as I claimed earlier, that it is the very essence of the matrix, is the only way I could interpret what it's claiming. It's that whatever makes up the components of energy, and energy makes up the components of atoms, that's what ether is now. It's the prerequisite, the antecedent.
Of modality.
In the middle of talking, but it's I think it says it's the antecedent to those things, to energy. So without...
Yeah, it's called the perturbation of modality.
We heard you the first time interrupting.
So it says here, all matter and atoms are compounded ether condensates.
So what's a compound ether condensate?
Well, it's matter. Are you a matter denier?
So matter is a compound ether condensate.
Yeah.
It sounds like E equals MC squared. It sounds like it's like a much more convoluted version of E equals MC squared. Now E equals MC squared may have some relevance. The M part is a bit tricky.
Hold on, Brian. Just 1 second.
No. Okay.
What does compound mean, Adam?
Pound of put together.
That's what I understand it to mean also. Ether. What does that mean?
Well, that's what we're trying to define.
So
what we're ending up defining, what's happening here...
Just before we do, what's condensate?
Well, in this sense, I don't really know, but to condense is what I would assume it's in relation to. So compound, so to put together and to condense as well.
So to compound together and to condense together, to mush stuff, right? That's what... So we just need to know what the ether bit is to know what a compound ether condensate is. Because we're going to be compounding specifically the ether.
You want to know the compounded?
My bad.
It's a primordial conjugate field, which is the magnetic and dielectric.
Inducing induction between them.
Oh, what a technobabble squirt fest!
Sorry. So I condense and compound dielectric and magnetic fields and create matter with them.
Yeah, you can create matter with light.
Can you show me that?
It's been proven last year in a university lab with 2 ultra high powered lasers, and at the apex, a small amount of matter was generated. There you go. Matter's nothing more than essentially hard light.
What?
Sorry, you created matter with light, according to this.
Light and hydrogen.
Where's the ether?
The clue is in the word itself. Ether sounds like either, right? Because it's neither here nor there.
No,
it's not
jokes.
either.
Stop.
It's not either.
Stop.
It's not matter
Stop. Stop.
Energy.
Stop. It's not either. It's ether. Yes, very amusing. The guys who were saying, yeah, for a second they sounded intelligent again. Yes, it's dielectric fields. Okay, so those are combined and condensed to make this condensate, right? So if that is the case, I want to see that creating matter, not hydrogen and light. Where's the ether? You said hydrogen and light.
I said light. Someone else said hydrogen.
Okay.
I said hydrogen because in everything there is hydrogen. Hydrogen is pretty much the only thing that you can find in everything. It's the key.
Okay.
That is true.
Sorry. Okay, I don't need to have a three-way conversation. Just one guy at a time. Thank you. Okay. However, in the description that was just read out by Adam, it specifically described a compound ether condensate. Okay? So, not hydrogen, ether. So don't tell me that hydrogen permeates everything. Therefore, what? Therefore, hydrogen's ether?
No, the ether compounds the hydrogen.
Oh, the ether compounds the hydrogen. Can you show me the ether, then show me it compounding hydrogen, please?
You want me to show you dielectric charges and magnetic fields compounding hydrogen?
No. They're supposed to be
just
compounding
go outside and look at the light.
Sorry, I want you to show me ether.
Go outside and look at the sun.
That's a begging the question fallacy.
No, it's light.
Do you know what a begging the question fallacy is? I'll take that as a no.
Yeah, I know what it is.
What is it?
I know what it is.
What is it?
I'm already pre-assuming what I'm trying to get you to explain.
So if I say the sky is a vacuum, and you say prove it, and I say look at the sky, that would be me begging the question of there being a sky vacuum by pointing at the sky. You're saying there's ether, just look at the sun. That's begging the question. So do you want to have another go?
Well, do you
Don't ask me something. Just show me ether. Tell me what it is.
No, I just want to get your understanding quick.
I don't have one.
Okay.
I want you to give it me.
You don't believe in a dielectric field
belief.
and magnets?
Don't ask me about my belief in magnets. Stop.
I just want to...
Hello? You're the one making the positive claim. Stop asking me what I know or what I need to qualify or what I understand. Presume I don't know anything about ether. Just tell me what it is.
Potential.
Sorry, potential? Isn't potential potential?
Nope. Look up Henri Poincaré's definition on potential.
Wouldn't that be a definition of potential? Sorry, you seem to be asking me to go and look up something that isn't ether.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to know what potential... Sorry, stop. I don't want to know what potential is. I want you to show me ether so I can know how it can bound stuff to make hydrogen, for example.
It's not physical. How could I show you something non-physical?
It's not what?
Non-physical.
Non-physical, not real then?
No.
Sorry, how can non-physical make physical?
You have, because it's the underlying fabric that all phenomena...
Sorry, fabric's physical.
Yeah.
Fabric's physical? Fabric is physical.
It's the noumena.
The what?
Oh, new word, is it?
I didn't hear what you said.
Noumena. The opposite of phenomena. Noumena. Go look it up, man.
Tell me what it is.
Educate yourself a little bit.
Sorry, what is it?
Go educate yourself a little bit.
So do you want to just tell me what it is?
Yeah, let me pull it up here for you.
Can you just tell me?
That's what I'm gonna do. Why don't you be patient? Holy fuck!
It means divine presence.
Noumena is the inverse of phenomena. Phenomena is everything within the visible universe and has magnitude. All magnitude is measured in time. Noumena is literally the substrate, if you will, that pre-exist phenomena. There's only two constants in the universe, that for field pressure for noumena and time for phenomena. The universe is not governed by math, only field pressure mediations, all of which terminate and are destroyed in the plane of inertia or pure potential.
There you
go.
What's that from? What's that from?
Doesn't matter. Just fucking told you.
Just tell me what it's. Just tell me where it's from. Does it matter? I'd just like to know where it's from.
Go look up your own version, and then you can pervert it with your dogma. Go ahead.
Can you just not tell me where it's from? Is this going to be a 20-minute tirade of you swearing at me just because I'm asking you where you've got that from?
Doesn't matter.
So why can't you just tell me where it's from?
From hell, bro. Doesn't matter.
Right, I just assume you've made it up then. Okay, no worries. We'll just discard it completely because you've just made it up.
Is it from the
I made it up. There you go.
Okay, we'll discard it completely. It's just nonsense you've made up because you won't tell us where you've got it from. Somehow it's a secret.
He's just trying to get out of it with technobabble. He's been doing it for a while now.
Nathan.
Technobabble, fucking Arwen.
All I've heard.
Yeah, technobabble. That's
Arwen,
what you do.
stop.
Arwen.
Yeah. You have no idea what you're saying.
Yeah, let's get into a little ad hom wrangle dangle caused by Arwen. Thank you, Arwen. Go ahead, Brian.
Thank you, Nathan. All I've heard so far is that ether is hydrogen, it's light, it's dielectric, it's magnetism, it's everything but whatever it is.
Fabric.
You're not presenting. You have not presented any evidence for the existence of what you're talking about, because what you're talking about, right? That theory, colloquial theory, turned up before you discovered that light wasn't a wave.
Go look up the original denotative definition of inertia, and there you'll find what pure potential is.
You have no support for what you're claiming.
Go look up the original denotative definition of inertia. Oh, and you're going to talk through me. You fucking mick.
No, stop swearing.
Well, you're talking to me.
No
and I don't need any racist slurs either.
Stop. Just respond. Hold on, Brian. Feel free.
You guys ever heard of unmanifested energy?
Unmanifested energy? Isn't that a contradiction in terms? Unless you're talking about potential energy.
It's like potential. It's a term that used to be used a lot, especially if you read the book, The Power of Now. But it's a spiritual term too. That's why they hide the ether, because it deals with unlimited energy and free energy, and the ancient world knew all about it because it had light.
According to the guy that's just... I've got to stop you, I'm sorry. Stop! The guy's just told me it's about the non-physical. That's what he's just told me. You're telling me it's unlimited energy. That would be physical, wouldn't it?
It's an unmanifested, though. So once you manifest...
Sorry, so not physical, not manifest, not real.
Well,
Nathan, is the toroidal field a magnet?
To you or Arwen. Talking to one dude.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about non-physical. Is a toroidal field of a magnet physical?
Yeah.
You would call that physical. You can't see it.
I can see its interaction with things.
So, but you can't see the actual field.
Oh, I can't see air either. What's your point?
Okay, so how are you dismissing the ether because it's not? You can't.
Sorry, I can see a magnetic field. That's not ether.
It's got to do with the air, too.
Sorry, that's not ether. That's a magnetic field.
It's actually why they brought in Einstein with his unified...
Hello? Is anybody listening? Is this thing on? Sorry, are we going to discuss magnetic fields now? That's not ether, is it?
It's giving you a comparison of something non-physical.
Can you not give me a comparison and just show me ether? So, okay, no worries. By comparison, I can see a magnetic field's interaction with other things. Yeah? I can then apply that to things that are useful. That's how I see a magnetic field. It has practical, physical application. So if that's a comparison to ether, show me by comparison to a magnetic field how ether has a practical, physical application to make it comparable. Go.
I'll tell you one thing. The ancient world, we had light. There was
Sorry,
light.
I don't want to know about the ancient world. I want you to compare and contrast a physically observable thing that I can show interactions with and apply to the physical and natural world with useful consequences. Show me a contrast with ether.
Lightning.
What I'm trying to tell you is it's very subtle energy. So
oh, right. Subtle isn't the case with electromagnetic fields. They're definitely not subtle.
It's not magnetic, though.
Well, why were you comparing it to it, then?
I'm not.
Well, then shut up.
Well, I like to interject if
I'm trying to make a
just shut up.
Point than what he's
yeah,
making.
you just shut up.
I'm trying to...
Just shut up. So, guy who is comparing it to electromagnetic fields, apparently comparable. So, given that there are very specific physical effects that we can observe and utilise in practical application with EM fields, now show me that with ether to make it comparable, please.
What I'm trying to tell you is the reason you're allowed to know about EM fields and you're not allowed to mess with the ether fields and have the instrumentation. We're not given that instrumentation, that technology. We're not given, and we're not taught about it because they hide it because it leads to free energy.
Sorry, what is it exactly that we are looking at? Not what we can't look at because it's hidden. That isn't showing it me. I can say that they're hiding Narnia and the wardrobe door really does exist. They're just hiding it from us. Now, if we could get past the veil of untruth that is the hiding of the wardrobe door, then you could understand how Narnia was real. That's what you're giving me.
In the ancient world, we could see...
I don't want to know about the ancient world. I want you to show me ether. So far, not so good.
Example is lightning. I'll give you lightning.
That's lightning.
What?
Lightning is lightning. Lightning isn't ether.
But it's a subvariant of the ether.
Sorry, subvariant of ether? No, lightning is lightning. It's not ether.
Okay, if that's what you want to believe.
So, no, what I want to believe, I know what bloody lightning is, and it isn't ether. Hello, have I woken up in La La Land? Anybody else on my panel feel that they don't know what lightning is and that have a misapprehension that it's in fact ether where they were confused about what lightning was before?
No, lightning is very provable.
Well, yeah, we're constantly getting things that have nothing, well, claim to do with ether, but we're getting descriptions of things we know about. I'll go back to all matter and atoms are compounded ether condensates, right? So we know what magnets are. They don't mention magnets in this bit, by the way. We know what atoms are, yeah? So what we want to know is, first of all, how do you condensate ether, yeah? How do you compound it? Most fundamentally, what is it that we're condensating and compounding? What is this thing that then goes on to make all these things and have these effects, subtle or not? Could we just get to the point of what the ether is and a demonstration of that or its effects?
And now, the conveyor belt. On today's conveyor belt, substitutes for ether. We've got fabric. We've got compressed, condensated ether in and of itself without defining it. We've got hydrogen. We've got the sun. We've got lightning. What else is we had on this conveyor belt? We've got the underlying propagation of everything in existence. Anything else? This list seems to be getting longer and longer for things that aren't ether.
You don't have ether, though.
We're sorry that they removed the language.
Yes, we do have more. I got a list from 24/7. When I evaluated the ether experts on there, there were like 10 of them. Here's the list. This is what the ether is. The oneness, the dome, magnetic fields, space, the substance of space, liquid flowing in and out of matter, fields, everything, photons, the background medium, we can see it, we can't see it, and quantum fucking foam. You fucking morons!
We've also
You
had
sound delusional!
It's anti-phenomena, non-physical potential. Anti-phenomena.
Right, so that's delusional too, I guess.
You're fucking delusional!
Yeah. Unless you can show it me.
Yes,
delusional.
you're welcome. You demonstrated
You
it.
should be in a
No
nut house,
help
Q.
from me. This is a fucking clown show. Can't
Okay,
you
but-
realize that? Can you discern that?
Lightning
Lightning.
is a subvariant
Fuck off.
of... Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, lightning. Ether's lightning. Ether's a cow. Ether's a
Coming
dune
from
bug.
someone.
Ether's a
Why
fucking
is there a whole
list if everything is on
Well, can I interject real quick, if I may?
Yeah, go on.
You're gonna get your ass handed to you.
Hold on, QE. Hold on. Go on.
Okay, so a guy named Michelson Gale, he created the Michelson-Morley interferometer test. I would call it test, not experiment.
Test. That's experiment.
Well, you have to test, right?
That's an experiment in this context. Do you know what an experiment is?
Okay, observation.
Okay, they made an observation. Go on.
Okay, so when he did the interferometer experiment in the horizontal...
Experiment? That's not an experiment.
Observation. Okay.
Sorry, stop a
for
second.
argument's
Stop a
sake.
second. Is it called the interferometer experiment?
Yes.
So straight off the bat, in the very title, it is pseudoscience then?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's not
Sorry,
shy away
it's
from
sorry.
what happened.
Okay, let's continue. Right?
Just why?
Let's
Just why?
continue with
Why? Stop,
pseudoscience.
stop, stop.
Okay, go ahead.
The other guy said it's anti-phenomena, right? Potential stuff that doesn't exist in physical reality, stuff like that. Now, what we're going to validate it with? Experiment? That's physics. That deals with physical. So for the other guy who was saying it's non-physical potential or anti-phenomena, why is it that this claim to be experiment, that's physics, the physical, why are they trying to claim that they can prove it with an experiment? It's because it's pseudoscience lies. They haven't got a phenomena to observe. But yet they're claiming to do an experiment, and our proponents of this quasi-experiment are telling us, oh, well, I don't want to call it an experiment, I'll call it an observation. No, it's called an experiment, it just isn't. Yeah? It's claimed to be non-physical, but they're putting it in the physical realm to do quote-unquote experiments. It's just lies that flatties have fallen for. So, at the beginning of the live show today, I said the way to train flatties in being good representatives of what they sell is to first train them in the science and scientific method. That's the first step to getting flatties to be good reps. We wouldn't be having this conversation if any of the proponents of Aether knew what science actually was.
That's right. You did say that today, Nathan.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. Now, if any of the people offering up Michelson, Morley and Einstein knew what science was, they'd realise what complete garbage they're peddling. And how they've got what? Is this an experiment? No, it isn't. But yeah, they're using the words, aren't they? To convince you, the muppet idiot flat earther, that Aether's real. Not an experiment. Now, bear in mind, I'm not prepared to take this shit from flatties anymore. Yeah, I've already gone through this and come out the other side smelling of roses after being trodden down like shit by Bob Nodell for trying to educate his dumbass on what science was. And he didn't want to know. Because he wanted to peddle the pseudoscience. He wanted to call Michelson-Gale an experiment, and it isn't. Now, I've tried and failed to educate Globebusters Bob Nodell in what science is. And for anybody else who wants to actually further their ability to debate this subject, you better listen up. Science is what's been used to hijack the world we live in. It's the language that they have used to deceive you. And they continue to do it even after you've opened your eyes to the flat earth. Here you are telling me to go and look up Aether and do some more research. And then what do we get to at the end of the discussion? An experiment? No, it's not. And you don't know that. You half know because you're making apologetics for it. Oh, well, I won't call it an experiment then, even though it's the title. Yeah, the title should suggest to you how deceived you are, but yet you're going to apologise for it being called an experiment when you know damn well it isn't. You're going to tell me about how you got some physical validity to it in the form of an experiment, observation, when it's also been claimed to be non-physical potential. You're all idiots. Do you hear me, all of you flat earthers? You are all morons. I am today not in the slightest bit proud to call myself a flat earther. It's an embarrassment. You, as Brian said earlier, embarrass me. You hear me, you dicks on Discord telling me to look up Aether? You embarrass me.
We don't care.
And you embarrass everyone on this panel. You haven't got a clue what you're talking about. You don't know what science is. So go and learn before you tell me to look up what Aether is. Learn what physicality is while you tell me how it's non-physical, and then try and back it up with an experiment that isn't one. Learn what science is. It's the first step in being a good flat earth rep, which you are not.
So?
You got that out.
So why the hell are you hanging around here? I want to hang around with dicks like you, embarrassing me. You embarrass me. Go and hang around Globebusters and their embarrassing shit. Go and talk to the idiots you peddle here. Go and hang around in their circle jerk fundy idiocy, talking about Aether and talking about electromagnetism and lightning and fabric. What kind of idiots are you? Well, I don't want any part of it. I don't want you to be any part of this show. You're poisoning my audience.
Bring them here. Let them present their case. Shut the fuck up. Bring them here. Let them present their case. along with that tattooed Jabba the Hutt fuckwit baller. Bring him over here. Let's deal with it. We'll put it all out in the open. It'll last about 10 fucking seconds.
Yeah. We'll ask him what Lite is.
Well, I've heard rumors that maybe the tattooed Jabba the Hutt might be on his way to transition into a Bob Earther. So
Do not transition to a flat earther, tattooed Jabba the Hutt idiot. I do not want you anywhere near this subject. You're an embarrassment to us. I don't want you on my team. You're a detriment to flat earth with your nonsense idiocy talking about Aether. I don't want you anywhere near this subject, Ken Wheeler.
This is coming home to roost. How many years ago did I tell you guys? How many years? 4?
I did too.
4.
Yeah.
4 years ago, I told you explicitly who, what, when, where, how, and why. Explicitly. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, and
With specificity.
Yeah, and I, at the time, thought I knew better, didn't I, John? I thought I could go and appeal to their better nature in terms of an understanding of science, and it cost me dearly. I'm done trying to help these idiots, to be perfectly honest. My attempt to unify the flat earth community. No. Because at this stage of the argument where we, this team, have advanced ourselves beyond the garbage nonsense and how we've been poisoned with it, and an understanding of the science that they've used to lie to us, and then refuse to fall into the same traps. Anybody else who's got a giant stake through their leg because they've fallen through that trap, they're not like crabs in a bucket going to drag me down with them. No, I refuse. Now, I have absolutely, without question, made attempts to try and salvage that idiocy from this community. I've gone out of my comfort zone, away from my mute button, over to Globebusters, to try and disseminate some semblance of understanding of science and how what they are peddling is wrong. Now, I appreciate that takes some degree of humility to appreciate and understand that when you've got something called an experiment, Michelson-Gale, and it isn't, that's going to be something that you're not going to want to relinquish because it's a magic trick that convinces many. Doesn't it, lads, on the Discord panel peddling this shit to us? That magic trick isn't going to be wanting to give it up because it's got people like you following it. Yeah? You've watched the right hand and haven't watched the left, and you've all been suckered into this shit about Aether.
Yeah. Seen it on the wall 4 years ago. He even said it. Hold on. He even said it specifically who the players were. Pretender clown flat earthers getting Jedi mind tricked by a tattooed Jabba the Hutt Uncle Fester fuckwit. Was my exact words 4 years ago.
That was verbatim what you said 4 years ago.
How do you like me now?
That was pretty much verbatim what you said 4 years ago.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I'm sick of it.
So Don, so you're not going to let Don with his observation test experiment?
I would just call it an observation. He was incorrect naming it an experiment. I wanted to get that out there. I misspoke.
It's not that you're...
That was my fault.
It's not unreasonable that you present it. It's useful. But by the same token, you're making apologetics. I already said this. He didn't mean to call it incorrectly an experiment. Yeah, but he did, didn't he? Why?
Yes, he did. Incorrectly.
Right. Why? Rather than apologising for it.
Probably because it's a mainstream term. I don't know why. People use that and
let me enlighten you. Let me enlighten you. Because the word experiment... Go on then.
I know what it means.
What does it mean?
What experiment is. You have to have a control variable, independent cause, and then the outcome, which is the...
That is not why they've done it. That's not why they've done it. That wasn't what I was going to say.
They do it... Okay, go ahead.
Because the word implies empiricism. Empiricism meaning it's been proven. An experiment, when John said, test, that's an experiment contextually. Yeah, hypothesis, test. That would be to say all the things you've just detailed about having controls, an independent variable, dependent variable. That would be observed phenomena, by the way. Something that you can actually observe happening. Yeah, we definitely don't have that with ether. So maybe lie about having it, because then it'll imply that you have some physicality and empiricism to your claim of ether. That's why you call it an experiment when you haven't got one. To dupe you.
Yeah.
To dupe you into thinking it's real. To dupe you into thinking it's physical. To dupe you into thinking they've got empiricism and proof when they have none. But just the word experiment made you think that, though, clearly.
Well, I think it's a Hanlon's razor issue, Nathan, where Mickelson, Gale, and them, that they actually very possibly didn't really understand what science was. That they were calling things experiments thinking they were, not understanding the core baseline of what a science experiment is, what it's supposed to be.
Well, by contrast, you can make apologetics for their ignorance, but they still use the word. Who is it that said, use your words carefully, words have meanings?
Dr. Mary Schweitzer.
Oh, right, okay. Fair enough. She's still right, though.
Yeah, she's still right. Even a pseudoscientist is right every once in a while. The sun shines on a dog's ass every now and again.
Right.
I mean, sure, they were incorrect, but it doesn't take away what was observed.
Sorry, so...
What was observed?
What was observed?
Okay, so you got in the horizontal, he had no interference pattern, but when he flipped the apparatus in a vertical, he had 11.511 peaks. He had a interference pattern. It went clockwise at 180 degrees and counterclockwise at 180 degrees.
And
what is the interference pattern? Is the question.
I don't know. You tell me. It's your claim.
That would be a supposition, I guess, if you will.
Well, that would be the ether. Is that the ether?
A supposition.
I contend that it's invisible three-toed gnomes that traveled here from behind the Crab Nebula. So you go first and support yours scientifically, and then I'll support mine. Go.
Well, light is claimed to be massless, right?
Light?
Yes, or photons, if you will.
What the fuck are we on with light for? Where's the ether?
Yeah, what about the ether?
Sorry, the
want to
ether...
know about what
hold
ether
on. Light as photons. Earlier, Adam read out the definition of ether, and it's very specifically in regards to mediums for electromagnetic propagation. That would be light. What are you talking about? Don't you know what ether is? So is it just because they were really, really convincing when they had their waistcoats on over on Globebusters and Ken Wheeler pulled out one of his fucking stupid man-made satchels and that was so distracting that you just forgot to ask what ether was? What's going on? Why am I met with silence? What is it?
Why is falling for it?
What's going on? Why aren't I being told what it is?
Wait, what was Don's question? He said something about patterns.
He talked about interference patterns, and QE asked him if that was ether. Now we've got a long, protracted silence.
Can I say something about interferometry? Because Don brought up the interferometry, and that's a ring laser gyro, basically, you're talking about in today's world, Don. Yeah, you're talking about a ring laser gyro. Yeah, that is due to a frequency change. You know, if you send send a laser two different directions, but one direction is slightly longer, then that causes a frequency change. So there's a frequency change due to the length of distance. With that type of light,
about that. Please.
That's interesting.
Yeah, careful, Brian.
Yeah, no, don't go. No, Brian, leave this one go, please. That's incorrect.
All right.
However, that's not answering the question. He's given me an argument from ignorance fallacy. He's asking me, what is the cause of his man-made phenomena, by the way? What is the cause of his phenomena? And then he said, well, what could it be? And I said, ether? Right? What else could it be other than ether?
Thing is,
that's, at its base, it's an argument from ignorance fallacy from the Black Lagoon. Now, if you're saying it's ether, what's ether? Let's stick with the topic.
Yeah, I was just trying to point out that's what makes it a presupposition, not a supposition. If your answer is it's ether, isn't it? That's a presupposition.
Right. Otherwise,
Still
that
not
is a begging the
proven.
question fallacy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Absolutely. Every single claim of ether ever is a begging the question fallacy that is followed up by defining something that isn't ether, like lightning or fabric.
Well, it's been over an hour and a half, I think, and they still haven't defined it. They don't know.
Yep.
The sun.
Yep, exactly.
Well, you didn't let me go with my lightning, so
right? I'm going to say that, Mr. Lightning, shut the fuck up. I was going to say that exact same thing a couple seconds ago. We've been here for 2 hours. We've asked a simple question. What is it? 2 fucking hours ago. If that doesn't tell you something, folks, then you got bigger problems than whether the Earth is flat or a sphere. Just saying. Thanks.
Yeah, but this is the dead end that people can easily come to if there's anybody with any intellectual, fortitude. They'll look into it. And if the whole kit and caboodle flat Earth community is talking about this crap, when they get to this point, they'll just go, oh, well, it's nonsense. Right? Because it is. Why defend it?
Well, in this respect, the Globers should be sympathetic, specifically because when we ask them what is gravity, it's the thing that makes stuff orbit stuff. It's the thing that creates a downward bias, but also the air that's going everywhere is also caused by the gravity going inward. It's everything.
Well, that's why
just
we call
like
ether
just
dead
like
gravity.
ether is. I'm just saying.
Right.
Everything. It's every bit
Got
of
it.
potential.
He's all over it. He's all over it. He just told you. Did everyone get that?
It's just like
you
gravity.
see, we've been lied to by pseudoscientists, right? For how long? Telling us about a spinning monkey ball, right? The pseudoscience has been using their credentials, claiming they're scientists, but they're actual pseudoscientists, and they're just stories. It's like a religion. What's the difference between that and then what's going on with pretender clown flat earthers that are trying to replace that with what they can't demonstrate? Can somebody tell me what the difference is?
There is no difference. There's no difference. It's them hijacking the exact same magic trick that was used to convince people of heliocentrism with words like experiment, to convince people of empiricism. Now we have flat earthers using words like experiment to convince them of empiricism with totally different nonsense. But the trick is the same. The tools are the same.
Yep.
Just hijacking real world things and calling them ether, just like they did with gravity. It's just a hijacking. That's all it is.
You got it. Yep.
Perfect. With that, I'm going to say another huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams. Thanks for smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, hitting the PayPal link, joining as a member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.